Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. No, I'm not on my own tonight. We might have a sneaky overseas guest in this evening, Mr. VJ. Nice to see you, buddy.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll say that like we haven't just spent the last couple of days together. We're so tonight the plans after a video on Friday that might have performed slightly differently how I imagined. The plan tonight is we're gonna talk hobby. We're gonna talk about different kind of games that are out there, what kind of games people are excited about, and VJ has also spent a little bit of time in Nottingham while he's been over here in the UK. And you visited Mantic, you visited Warlord, and you visited the big brother down the road as well.
Yep,
I'm not allowed to talk about them anymore now. So
yeah, you'll get in trouble.
So we're going to talk about what you saw, what kind of stuff you got up to, and then we'll chat about that as well. So we'll start with who have we got in the chat. So we've got Lord Maiden in. Good evening to you, mate. It is what now? Hello, Blair Smith. Good evening. Mark SG. Good morning to you, mate. Blizzards. Hello to you. Pumpkin Man. Good afternoon. Busey, you cheeky beggar. I'll still get you your updates. Don't worry. Christian, mate. Thank you for coming in and helping to wrangle the crowd tonight, of which is climbing. Ed, hello to you, buddy. How are you doing? Type 40 Tardis, hello as well. Ian, we're both very well. I think we're all right on that. Yeah, we're good, thanks, mate.
Very good.
Jason, good afternoon to you as well. Robert Dunk, nice to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Scott Latham, hello. Wayne Hayward as well. Got Jigabachi, Mark Long. We've got Vincent VT. Mr. Estel there is finishing his Marauders tonight. They were looking good, mate, when I saw the photographs. Andros, welcome back, mate. Good evening to you. Chezzy Kennedy as well. You are now a witness to the chat jumping up the screen, so I lose my players.
Technically, yes. I can now vouch. It does do that.
It does jump. B. Davies, good evening to you as well. Paul Taylor, he says, how you enjoying living on the face of the sun? It's been even by your standards.
Even by my standard, it's been warm, definitely.
It's been a bit toasty, hasn't it? Zingbo, good evening to you, mate. Working on his painting challenge models. Yoakum, good evening, sir. Bruce, how are you doing? He said he's actually catching it from the beginning. Thank you very much, mate. Craig Lowther, good evening to you. Players in Exile, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for your joining of the Patreon this weekend as well. Thank you. Clavac, hello to you as well. Tabletop Transformer. We've got Jeff Higdon in. Super Pumpkin Man. Discourse, hello dear. She says a video not about Games Workshop. What's the point? Frantic, hello to you as well. Tony, how are you doing, Mr. Howell? Tony Howell sent me a very lovely little gift today of a Batman miniature, which now has pride of place on the shelf over there, mate. So thank you.
Show it later.
Yeah, we'll get on camera later, mate. Yeah, we'll do. Ed says, what's your thoughts on the new Warcry box with his little angel halo on there? I'll tell you what my thoughts are, mate. I've not read anything about it yet. We've been busy playing games all weekend, and I haven't actually watched any of the stream. I will watch it back at some point, and I'll have an opinion on it. But I'll be honest, I don't know anything about it at the minute. Frantic, hello, mate. How you doing? Frederick Schultz, nice to see you. Robin as well. We've got Peter Stockdale. We've got Blizzards. Robin Mankiller said he's listening while working on his Enders. Who else? We've got Ryan's in as well. Hello to you. Frederick says, is this the one where you talk about GW? I think from the title, mate, it's the one where we don't talk about GW. I think it was there in black and white. Tom D says, a bit off kilter, but have you considered Wargames? What do you mean by Wargames, mate? Is Wargames a particular game, or do you mean Wargames in general? I'm not really sure, mate. Let's skip through some of these because we have a load in tonight. Tabletop Transformer says, have you told VJ about Bacon Club? We went to Bacon Club this morning, didn't we?
We did. But you can talk about Bacon Club.
Yeah.
You should talk about Bacon Club.
We've got Mountain Gremlin Games. Hello to you as well. Tabletop Transformer says, have you two ever played Vanguard? And if so, how do you find it? I've played Vanguard. There's Vanguard videos on my channel. There's 2 Vanguard bat reps, and then there was a week of how to sort of getting into Vanguard videos as well. So yes, I've played it quite a bit. Have you played Vanguard?
No, I haven't actually. No. I've looked at the rules, but I've not played it personally. No. I've got some models set aside out of my Kings of War stuff to build a Vanguard force, but yeah.
I like it, but I would say it is more complex than Kings of War randomly for a skirmish game. So I think that's why I kind of lean more into Kings of War a bit these days.
Yeah, I've heard that about it.
Yeah. Tony Boovleiden, hello, mate. He said, it's great to put a face to the name. There you go, see. Warren Jones, good evening. Busey saying, are you guys enjoying the heat wave? It's been warm over the weekend, mate. We were in town on Saturday. Ended up mainly sitting outside having a few beers because of the heat. It was quite nice. And then we sat yesterday here at home and we played games outside, didn't we? Yeah, it was so warm we actually played the miniatures games outside.
Games in the garden.
We did, beautiful. So it was nice. Colin Wakeland, hello. Hello, Hendrik as well. It's just jumping away. I'm just going to dive in anyway now. Scott says, just got the Batman starter set. Is that the new one, mate, with is it Robert Pattinson stuff from the new The Batman movie? Oh yeah, that's why. I assume that's why it's in inverted commas. Right. Players in Exile says it's hot enough to moan about the weather. We're always happy when moaning. You're not wrong, mate. It's part of our culture. Henrik's playing Arkham Horror a lot, enjoying it. Type 40 Todders is fixing broken Monpop minis. That's not good, mate. Craig Lowther said he's glad he's bought his laptop. He's been sent to Dublin for the week. Is that like sort of, have you done something wrong, mate? Have you upset someone? Like the way you've been sent there, it sounds bad. Yeah, John says in the Discord we decided VG needs to try a hot beef stotty.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh well, yeah.
I mean, it's if it's hot and it's beef, I mean, it's pretty good. But stotty, I have no idea what that word means.
Stotty is like a northeast bun.
Oh, okay.
But big.
Right.
Quite a big bread cake type thing.
Ooh, bread cake.
Yeah. So
sounds good.
There you go.
Meaty goodness.
Anna Robinson, good evening to you. Saying hello to VG as well. And Scott Latham says, yes, made the red box one. Nice one. But Henrik said, are you coming to Spiel Essen this year? I have no plans to, mate. I don't think it's gonna happen this year. Maybe next year, we'll see. But yeah, not this year as planned. Cardos, good evening to you as well. Prawn Toucher, hello to you. He said he's idly browsing Brigade Miniatures airships for the new Osprey rule set, Castles in the Sky. Bit like Gaslands. I've seen the rule books kicking about online. I've seen people kind of getting their hands on them, but I don't know much about the game itself. So
the Osprey stuff's quite interesting. I've been dabbling in looking at the On Guard rule set to use with the Highlander miniatures from the game that shall not be named. But to then use those models for a skirmish game using the On Guard rules, which are like, sword fighting rules, I believe. So I'm sort of investigating that as to combine those two things together.
Sounds pretty cool. RPD, hello, says, have you had a look at the games? Don't look back. I'll tell you what, buddy, we just saw it on the shelf in a store at the weekend that we were looking at. And it, as a concept, it looks really interesting, but it was pretty expensive for what it was. Was it like 60? It was £60, wasn't it, for the box? And I think you got like 5 minis in it or something like that in a rule book. So whilst I am interested, because I really like the concept and the theme of the game, it sounds quite expensive for what it is. So I think I'd need to know a bit more before I spent any money on it, mate.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're not that phased about the miniatures side of it, if you just want to play like an interesting game that captures that whole like horror movie vibe, I've found the Final Girl game to be really good for that.
Yeah, we were talking about that as well. Yeah, I'll have to try and get my hands on it, I think. Michael Cowan, good evening. He says, what's happening with GW? I don't know, mate. I don't know. I'm sure nothing. We continue to sail along quite happily without me. It's fine. Speed Demon Painting, hello to you as well. He says he's getting hyped for the new War Cradle French flying ships. I don't think I've seen them, mate. Soul31 said, evening all. Found the channel a few days back. Thank you very much for discovering me. He said there's a first stream he's managing to cast live. He's currently getting post-purchase guilt over the smaller God tier bundle from Steam Forward. You won't have it for too long, buddy. Once you get your hands and have a game on it, you'll realise you made a wise choice. Discourse is Blackside Studios are pretty expensive. Yeah, to be honest, Discourse, I saw the Blackside Studios logo on the back of the box, and I hadn't put 2 and 2 together that they were the same company that had made Luna, the one we'd been talking about last week. And it looked interesting, but I think the problem is that if you pick that box up as a casual browser, not knowing much about it, it looks really expensive.
That for what price it is. Compared to what you're holding in your hand?
Compared to all the stuff that were on the shelves around it, it looked quite expensive.
Although if somebody had investigated games and was wanting something in that kind of genre, you could see them saying that and saying, oh, well, okay, I'm okay with that price. But it's not the sort of thing someone's literally going to just randomly pick up off the shelf and go, I think that's worth 60 quid.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's have a little look here. Yeah, but they are a smaller company, she's saying. Yeah, you're right. RPD and he's seen it and got it at 45. That's probably a bit. I think we said.
Yeah, I think
we said the exact same thing.
We said was sort of 40, 45 is a sort of.
You take a punt on it.
Yeah.
So if you can pick it up cheaper, I mean, I would imagine the store we were in was like a high street store. They probably selling it like list price, kind of RRP. So maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, if you could get 20% off and stuff, I think you'd be looking at a decent.
Yeah.
Decent purchase.
Tom D saying Wargames, he means hex and counter conflict simulations on paper or mounted cardboard maps, various battles in history. It's something I would maybe check out. I've not technically done much in the way of historical games in the past. It's never really been like a massive kind of like sort of interest's not the right word. It's not something I've really been exposed to, if I'm honest. So I'd really have to put some time and effort, I think, into learning and understanding it. So who knows though? Never rule anything out. Jigabachi saying he thinks Zatu Don't Look Back had it for about 45. I will check it out, mate.
I've bought some stuff in Australia that's been really good prices on Zatu and got it shipped all the way to Australia because it was that cheap. It was cheaper to buy it over here, get it shipped to Australia, than buy it in Australia.
So. James Breyer, thank you very much for the donation there for the super chat. He says, hello VJ, Bacon Sarnie funds. I'll be honest, VJ was on the Bacon Sarnie buy-in this morning. He paid for them this morning, so that was very nice. But thank you very much, mate. We're going for Vegemite on toast tomorrow. So VJ have brought this very nice little gift with them. In fact, we can even do this tonight, look. Nice little bottle of Vegemite. So
200 grams of goodness.
200 grams of goodness, he says. So the plan is to have Vegemite on toast tomorrow. We did the UK bacon sandwiches this morning. We're doing the Aussie Vegemite on toast. That's interesting. My laptop just decided to shit its pants and, and shut the screen down. So if you give me 1 second, so I can find my video, I will find the chat. And it's come back on there. There we go. We're all right. We're rocking and rolling now. Where are we at? I'll just dive in here. Players in Exile says he was out and about the shopping centre in Bluewater last Friday, picked up his first ever pair of spectacles, and was really surprised to see God Tier heavily supported in the store game. Somebody else was telling me about that. I can't remember the last time I was in a game, like branded game store. So the last time I was there, they did have a decent selection of Warhammer stuff because I bought some paint from there while I was in. But yeah, I have heard that there's been selling some Steamforged Games stuff. Mark Long, good evening, mate. He said he's just bought Subutio. Didn't realise it's still going. I think there's a new company actually owns Subutio now.
Is that football?
The football, a little flick the little.
Yeah, I think I've heard you guys mention it before, and I was kind of like,
it's like a child.
What is that?
It's like a childhood memory thing, like, and I think it's
very English thing, obviously.
Yeah, and it's obviously made a bit of a return, I think.
Yeah, right.
Frederick says, is this the one where you test the army paint to speed paint? I've said this before, I don't want to give the impression that I am anti-GW and I hate GW. You can see behind me my selection of GW paints would sort of betray my allegiance if that was the case. I quite like contrast paints. I'm fine with them. Like I've never felt the need to try the army paint to speed paints yet because one, it feels like money that I just have to spend to try something. Me personally, I plan to try some of them out, but only when my contrast paints that I already own in those similar colours run out. Then I'll give the speed paints a go. And, if they're great, then I'll stick with them. If they're not so great, I'll just go back to contrast. I think, and this is not kind of like sort of me begging for stuff kind of thing, but if somebody sent me something to try, I would absolutely love to try them, but I can't really justify spending money just to see if they do the same as contrast.
Nobody sends me anything.
No. Robin Manikelli says he's gone nuts and gotten warmer hordes going again. I tell you what, mate, I haven't seen, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, I haven't seen anybody playing that in a long time. But good to see that somebody is. Just had another super chat there. Alex, thank you very much for your donation. That is very, very kind of you. I assume that was just off the back of Vegemite. I think that's what brought that in.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a bit of Vegemite.
Brings all the boys to the yard. The milkshake.
Yellow Belly Tabletop, good evening, mate. He said he's still breaking the back of his A Creed while you chat away. Oh, Assassin's Creed. I was thinking, what's A Creed? Yeah, Assassin's Creed. Tony's saying hit the like button. How are we doing for likes? We can do more likes than that. I'm pretty sure we can. Trent says, noise from GW, but what do you think of the new edition of Warcry? I'm excited about it being announced, mate. I saw the thing that they were going to have their big stream this weekend. I was kind of interested to hear what the whole Kill Team Dark thing was about. But if I'm being perfectly honest, we've kind of been busy playing games this weekend. We've been hanging out. We were out kind of having a few beers on Saturday. The stream was yesterday, though, wasn't it? We were playing games yesterday. So I've just not actually seen it. I've not had 5 minutes to actually spend any time and absorb what's coming.
I've seen it. I've been scrolling through a few of the photos, and the terrain looks interesting. I didn't really see much of the miniatures in the warbands themselves.
No.
So
I saw an email that GW send out their kind of like their email on a Monday, and I saw that they'd said that you can see the contents of the box on the Warhammer community site now. But like I say, I've literally not had a chance to check it out yet. So by next week, I'll probably know a bit more about it, and we'll probably have a chat on next Monday about what I think about. Because at the minute, I don't even know if it's just a new box with the same rules or if the rules are changing.
I don't think the rules are changing from what I've gleaned so far from other people's comments. I think it's maybe they're just cleaning things up and like adding in all the FAQ stuff and the errata stuff.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly. So. Robin Michael says something about trolls in kilts. Got me going. I must have missed that. Oh, that was the Warmer Hordes thing. I'm assuming you're playing what they call the trolls. Trollkin. I used to play trolls when I played War Machine. Odd-sided dice post, but I'll say that in English. Odd-sided dice podcast. He said he's been here for a while. Hope everyone's good. Hello, mate. How you doing, Kieran? Peter Kuhlman. Hello to you as well. Saul says one thing about Zatu, and don't look back. His brother ordered it for him at Christmas, and he got it a week ago. Okay, mate. I've ordered a lot of my Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff came from Zatu, and they've always been super good with deliveries. So maybe it's just a case of whether it's
the Zatu delivery was faster even to Australia.
Yeah, it might just whether it's in stock or not. Discourse says the best bit is the expansions are in VHS tapes and styled like 80s horror movies. Now see, that might have even got me to spend the 60 on it if it had come in a VHS cassette.
Yeah.
Like just for the nostalgia of it. Ian H, good evening, mate. How you doing? He says another thematic game and not mini specific is Urban Manhunt. Somebody's told me about Urban Manhunt before, and I've never played it. I've not really seen anything online about it, but I have heard of the game. I'm trying to remember what the company's called who makes it now, but you might know, Ian, if you know who made it, who makes the game, mate. It says think Running Man. Running Man's one of my favourite films when I was a bit younger. I like them kind of like 90s Schwarzenegger stuff or 80s stuff, whatever it was.
Total Recall for me.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Whenever anybody says 2 weeks, that's always what comes to mind. Tony, chatting about Subbuteo and cricket. Oh, the cricket version was it called How's That? Is that what the cricket version was called? I think it might have been.
Yeah, we had How's That in Australia, like the cricket
Aussies
one.
And cricket out without a doubt. Tabletop Transformer says Vegemite unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe. Yeah, all right.
Exactly. Vegemite, remember, thick as possible. Well, there's a bit of training going on tomorrow morning, isn't it? That's what it is. Jelly of the Vegemite.
Thick as possible.
Everybody loving a bit of Vegemite there as well.
Nice.
Ed's seen local game stores have God tier, but sadly not the set I want. Which set are you after, mate? Which one did you want? Super Punkin Man there saying to VJ, what the heck is Vegemite made of? As a Texan, I've never been told what it is.
So imagine it's yeast extract. And essentially the way I would describe it to most people is, imagine if you were doing a home brew of beer and you've tapped off all of your beer that you're bottling.
Yeah.
The yeasty scunge in the bottom.
Sounds gorgeous, can't wait.
Basically, that's pretty much Vegemite.
Can't wait. Sounds amazing.
It's tasty stuff.
Yeah. Frankenstein there says, anything except Bovril is a bad choice. We had the Bovril conversation.
We did have the Bovril conversation. I am a big Bovril fan.
Yeah.
Bit of sourdough, bit of melty butter, bit of Bovril.
See,
it's a winner.
I only remember, when we were talking about this, I only remember Bovril as a hot drink, like at the football matches when I was a kid. So now if I ever see it at a football ground, I will still kind of buy a cup of Bovril. But yeah, it just takes me back.
I have to try it as a drink. I've only ever had it on toast.
I only ever assumed it was a drink. Let's have a little look here. Paul Taylor there saying game has really gone in on the mini games and board games. I guess it's because unlike the way video games are going, they will stay physical. I think, mate, it's a case of game. They're clawing away really to find like what their purpose is. I think a little bit as more and more people buy digital versions of video games and they don't go to the store so much, and like things like Xbox Game Pass and the new PlayStation monthly stuff where you get free games. Well, they're not technically free. You're paying $10 a month or whatever it is. But I think just people's game buying habits are changing, and they're certainly not buying them like in a store anymore.
Yeah, we've got a similar chain video game store in Australia, and every time I go in there, they seem to have more and more like video game merch.
Yeah.
You know, like Super Mario toys or you know,
like geek shop type stuff.
Yeah, they have more and more of that. I guess because, as you said, maybe the actual game purchases are moving more and more online.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Alex, thank you very much, mate. Saying love the channel. Thank you, buddy. Ed saying that he was loaned the speed paint starter box by a friend who wanted his opinion, and then, they're really no different from Contrast. That's kind of why I decided not to really spend my own money on them. Really, I don't need them, kind of thing. I would love to try them and see them, but
I am interested in the videos that I saw about them like rubbing off and stuff though. That's a concern.
They're kind of reactivating when you get them wet again. Because the way I've started painting, especially when I'm painting stuff a bit faster, like army painting or speed painting, I tend to prime black, dry brush white to get like a nice highlight to it, like a contrast on the model. Contrast paints down as like the big bold colours, and then come back at them with a bit of dry brushing or highlights or something like that, a little bit of wash into the recesses. And I think if they reactivated the way I paint with contrast paints, it would just be a disaster, I think. So, James Arm, hello, buddy. He's saying hello there. Looks like you've had a great trip so far, VJ.
It's been pretty amazing.
Paddy Mick, hello. He says, hi, mate. You were recommended by MS Paints on his, so I thought I'd tune in. Thank you very much, mate. Dave's a good guy. Thank you very much.
Shout out to MS Paints.
Yeah, absolutely. Always. Yeah, if you haven't checked out MS Paints, you absolutely should.
Great job.
Andros says, missed your live stream with Discord, but went back and caught up. Towards the end, you talked about what you wish Necromunda could be played with Warcry rules. Have you played Stargrave? While it's not all Warcry rules, you perhaps get an experience closer to what you wish and a better game to use Necromunda minis for. Yeah, so for those that didn't watch the stream, I actually quite like Necromunda as a setting, and I quite like Necromunda minis that they're not like linked to 40k kind of thing. They're the
different factions.
They're the gangs underneath ground while the wars are going on. But Necromunda's a bit crunchy for me. It's not my kind of thing.
Those new Goliath bikers that they announced look quite nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And I like the Warcry rule set, and I kind of wished Necromunda and Warcry had a love child kind of thing that you could play in both. Stargrave, interestingly, I've never played. However, I did get a really, really nice email from Mr. Joseph McCulloch this weekend about my video on Friday, and I have been chatting with him about some stuff, and we're potentially going to do like a bit of like an interview, chatting game design and stuff on the channel. So who knows, Stargrave might pop up in the future. Yellow Belly Tabletops has just been watching a Brawl Machine format on Guerrilla Miniature Games. Looks like a nice refresher. Brawl Machine is a nice little it's a kind of like a really small version of War Machine that was so what used to happen at Privateer Press would have these big conventions, and like almost like a little bit like a games day for Games Workshop, and they used to have these like little kind of fun 30-minute game things, and Brawl Machine was this kind of like, just made for a bit of fun, but then it ended up being a bit more than that actually. Yeah, it's quite fun, man. It's quite fun. Players in Exile says the Swamp Zombie Nurgle guys in the new Kill Team set look amazingly good, and the detail is unreal. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check them out, mate. I haven't like I say I haven't intentionally kind of like avoided them. I just been busy, been doing other stuff. Clavac says, what did you guys play? So let me think now. Saturday. Did we play anything on Saturday? No. We didn't. No, we went out and boozing, to be fair. Sunday.
Sit in the sun, drink some beer.
Sunday we played Blitz Bowl.
Absolutely.
You played Lizard Men.
Yep.
I played Dwarfs. VJ won by 1 point. Or right on the last turn, on the last play of the game.
Yep.
Super close.
Yep. It was a very, very close game.
Yeah. And then we've played. What else we play? we play anything else yesterday? Or was that it? No. Then we played Dead Zone today. So we had a bit of a Dead Zone kind of intro session.
We did the intro mission from the new box.
Because you've got your own stuff that
I've got my own box and I've been painting up, but I haven't actually gotten a chance to actually play the game yet. So I thought it'd be a good chance to learn from somebody who knows how to play. So
he says knows how to play. I had to refresh my memory a bit as well. And then we also played. We've just played tonight, haven't we? We played Overdrive by Mantic as well. So yeah, we've had a bit of a mixture of different bits and pieces. It's been fun, man.
Overdrive was really good too, I have to say. I quite enjoyed it.
I will also add, VJ has won all 3 games. So yeah, he's
all dumb luck. Dumb luck. He is no skill involved.
He is not allowed to come back ever again until he starts throwing his games. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Mark Berracloth, mate, how you doing? Nice to see you, fella. Speed Demon Peyton said he was massively worried when they mentioned a warband tome. I hope they don't go the games bookshop route to that game too. I mean, they've already got like the tomes for the not warband specific, but they've got the 4 different Grand Alliance faction books, haven't they, for Warcry? So who knows? Who knows? The worry would be if all of the old stuff is like just wiped out, and you have to rebuy all of that again. That would be a real shame.
Yeah, the constant buying of books is.
Yeah, because in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with Warcry. It doesn't really need an update. I get they do it to make more money and sell more stuff, but the game itself doesn't need an update. Super Punker Man saying the Nurgle Warcry team look good. Chesney Kennedy saying the miniature Warcry look pants. There you go. I'm glad we've got all sorts of opinions on this.
There you go.
Doesn't want to hand. Oh, I'm not sure. I want to hand over silly money for terrain. That looks cool. I think that's always been one of the things with the Warcry boxes is that the terrain looks pretty cool, kind of thing. And you know, you end up sinking money into that. Ed's saying there's some new rules, no real details yet. That's always a worry, mate. If I'm honest. Let me find where that went.
Yeah, we just jumped.
Yeah, Morrigan. New rules, no real details yet though. Most interesting looks to be reactions. Oh, okay. I'll reserve judgment until I know anything.
I do think, from what I've experienced, playing Warcry, I do think there's a bit of a mobility issue in that game with the warbands that can fly and the warbands that have high movement can really like pants a team that's got slow movement. Like just.
Yeah. Urban Manhunt by Spectrum Games. Is Spectrum Games the same company that does Wild in the Streets, or is that somebody different? Am I confusing the 2 companies, maybe? Test Match was the cricket game. I remember I was at being a cricket game as well. Maybe it was a video game. Don't remember now. Rob Zung saying he's got...
Test Match. No, it was Test Match.
Okay.
Not ours, though.
Rob saying he's got Don't Look Back, and it's a lot of fun. Plan on getting some more expansions. Good to hear some good things about it, mate. Ed saying he wants the Morrigan set. I love the Hounds of Morrigan book. Yeah, the Morrigan set is quite good, mate. Morrigan gets a little bit of flack online from the
what is it?
From God Tier.
Oh, okay.
So Morrigan gets a bit of flack as like the most underpowered of the different sort of champions.
Right.
However, it's an awesome model. So you can kind of forgive it a little bit, like, and if you're not playing that competitively, it doesn't really matter anyway. Yeah. But I think what I would say is
just enjoy the model.
There's like a nice little bell curve to the abilities of the God Tier champions, and I would say Morrigan's probably towards the bottom end of that curve. Yep. Unfortunately, but yeah,
if it's got a good model, what does that matter?
It is a cool model. Speed Demon saying Vegemite sounds like you'll be glued to the toilet seat for a few days. To be honest, with the beer that we've drunk, I probably would be something else that keeps me there. Super Punker Man said, I thought Americans liked beer. We got nothing on the Aussies. I will vouch for that after having my first drinking session with an Aussie.
I can put a few away.
Yeah, bless you. It was another cricket game called Test Match. Okay. RPDC's got your copy last week. Finished gluing the minis this week. Are the minis metal or are the minis resin for Don't Look Back? I'm not sure. I've not seen them in the flesh. I just saw them on the back of the box, but they were like renders, I think.
Yeah, I think they weren't photos or anything. So yeah,
no.
I don't know.
John says I was at a football match with somebody really posh. It was cold and he had a bovril and said in his context, it really makes sense. Yes. Oh, I don't know why. Like you don't get a cup of coffee at the match. You can buy it, but nobody does. Everybody buys a bovril randomly.
This sounds an experience. Maybe next time I'll have to come back during winter. We can go to the football and have a cup of bovril.
You, sports. I wouldn't have dared. We've just had rugby on all weekend in Newcastle and I managed to avoid it for you.
Hey, look, I'll indulge in sports if it means I get the full experience.
Yeah, I get that, mine. I get that. Yeah, tabletop transformers in games turned into a mess of video and board games. Yeah, I think they just kind of lost a bit of direction. People buy online. They buy from Amazon. They buy from cheap discount. A bit like how we buy miniatures, really. People end up buying from cheap online stores with 20% discount, and shops at full retail tend to struggle a little bit when it comes to that.
Yeah.
RPD's a PC gamer, and all PC games are digital download purchases. Yeah, I think obviously Game gave up a long time on PC games, didn't it? Ed saying a wash would make a mess if you went at it too early. Dry brushing would be okay. Oh, this is across the army painter stuff. Yeah, and that's a shame. Like I like to be able to just paint how I want to paint, not have to because I've heard other people saying, oh well, if you just varnish it, if you matte varnish it after you've done the contrasts.
It's a good point about dry brushing though, because obviously it's the moisture, moisture in the paint that you're putting on there that's reactivating the old paint. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yellow Belly Tabletop is using speed paints on his Assassin's Creed project. The reactivation can happen, but it isn't world ending if you know it's coming. It's one of those things where if you knew it was going to be predictable and it was going to do it every time, you could probably use it to its advantage to wet blend stuff in if you knew it was always going to do it. But it sounds like it's unpredictable, which I think is probably half the problem. SB is another one from MS Paints here. Dave's a good lad. I obviously owe him some commission, I think, for this one, and thank you very much. I think Dave and I were chatting about doing something in the near future, so it'd be nice to work together on something. Where are we up to? Busey says, I'm interested to hear what VJ says about UK bacon versus Aussie bacon.
What can I say? But all bacon is great.
Yeah, there's no such thing as bad bacon.
Exactly right.
There's good bacon and there's amazing bacon. Everything's pretty much on a par, like in between there. Rich Mid, how you doing, mate? How nice to see you. After watching your latest vid, Andy, love the name of this video. It was one of those things I was just saying to VJ this morning. I need to do a thumbnail for tonight's video. We're going to just kind of have a bit of a chat.
And I can vouch now for the fact that he does this stuff at the last minute.
Yeah, and it was like, I kind of have to just, a little bit tongue in cheek, I might as well just kind of, take it on the chin, or accept the humour side of how the video is kind of blown up a bit, because it wasn't humorous making it, I'll be honest. So yes, it was a bit tongue in cheek tonight. So I'm glad people took it in the humour it was intended. And he said, I feel you're paying covering other games. He runs MCP content. He absolutely does. He is the premier MCP content.
Oh, right.
And versus GW, the temptations to start covering it is always there. It's one of them funny things, mate. I mean, I kind of obviously went into a lot of it in the video, so I won't go into it too much more now. But I think, it's hard not to get kind of sort of sidetracked and want to chase views when actually it should always be about what you're interested in. Your Marvel stuff, mate, is awesome. I'd love to be as knowledgeable about the Marvel stuff to cover what you cover. But so keep up what you enjoy, mate. B. Davies says Frostgrave Stargrave. He says again, I'm getting tongue tied. Frostgrave Stargrave are epic, 100% worth a look. Yeah, Joe sent me the rules to Frostgrave tonight just by a digital format, so I've not had a chance to read them yet. But seems like a super nice guy. Seems like we have a lot of similar ideas when it comes to kind of working on things that you love as opposed to chasing the dollar, as we say. Yeah. Brian Sain says, "Sup all, I'm still a massive fan of Bolt Action Conflict 47. We've been talking Conflict 47, right?
We have. I've just started getting into Conflict 47 and off the visited Warlord, as mentioned earlier, and picked up some new Conflict 47 bits and pieces there, and to go with my starters that I've just purchased back home. And yeah, looking forward to getting into Conflict 47.
Amazing.
It's like a lot of fun.
Where was it? I've just seen something. James Arm, thank you very much, mate, for the donation as well. Sign me up for the BlackJack football tour. Yeah, let's do it. Make sure we come in, get to see some decent teams. Don't come and see my team. If you're going to come all this way, we'll take you to watch a good team. Where to? Commandant 2, Warmer Hoods in Magic the Gathering Commander format. Interesting. Tabletop Transformers isn't me, or does Warcry seem like the love child of Conan and 300? I get what you get. I get what you mean from that. It's definitely more. I always feel like for all Warcry set in AOS, it feels a bit more like old school fantasy as opposed to more.
Are we talking thematically here?
Yeah, theme and kind of stuff with these kind of sort of little Warcry warbands out in the wastelands, almost Mad Max-esque kind of like gangs hanging about. That's why I always say about like kind of it feels like Necromunda and Warcry thematically could have more in common. It's a shame that the rules don't move over that way. John on Tabletop, good evening John, how are you doing mate? He said, I worry that GW is moving to a live service based on the players feeling they need to be up to date. On the flip side, many games I hear about tend to be the opposite and have less presence. It's an interesting point, mate. I mean, we've been chatting this weekend about like why do you play games? Like, you always play games to have fun. It's not always about winning. And then I think that there has been a shift over the last, it might even be like the last 10 years really, where competitive gaming has become much more important over gaming for fun, narrative gaming. And I think that the surge in the internet, I'm sounding like a proper boomer now, but like the surge in the internet and online communities has driven people from all over the world to compare stuff that many years ago they just didn't. And so when you used to play rules for Warhammer Fantasy or 40k in your bedroom, or you played it on the kitchen table with a mate kind of thing, it didn't matter if you got them rules wrong. It didn't matter that you didn't have the latest models, because you hadn't really heard that this was really overpowered.
Or you were playing Rogue Trader, which I don't think you could actually even get the rules right for.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the rules just didn't make any sense at all.
But it feels like we've shifted now to an era where everybody's talking about what's powerful, what's the latest thing. The competitive side of games is what is very, very vocal online, and that's what people talk about. Because if somebody could spend an age writing a really long kind of message about how we've just had this fantastic game and they play it out as this fantastic story on the tabletop, and it would never be as interesting as the fun that those two guys or two girls had playing that game. But as soon as somebody says, "Oh, I won a tournament," or I went 3-1 kind of thing, like all of a sudden, oh, well, what list did you use?
Yeah. So I also think when people are talking about the games that they've played, they're telling you about the narrative of the story and how that evolved. They're not saying, oh, and I had this buff that overlapped with this buff, and then I rolled this. I mean, yeah, they might tell you like, oh, I rolled a bunch of 6s and creamed my opponent or whatever, but they're not going to be telling you about the minutiae of the rules and how they use this special, combination of models or whatever.
No, not at all.
No, it's about the story.
100%. AF says, have you taken a look at Conquest, Last Argument of Kings and Conquest First Blood? Last Argument of Kings I have taken a look at, but I had a look at like when the first core box first came out, and I don't think it was really for me. There was a few things where it felt like one of the rules is you have to intentionally roll low rather than roll high, and it felt like it was in there just to be different. And I couldn't get my head around. Like, every time I went to roll, I had to like stop and go, right, hang on, like, so it's 4+, but that means I need to roll lower than a 4. Like, there was things like that. It didn't gel with me there, but I have heard good things about the Skirmish version. I've not experienced. I've not even read the rules for it. Tony says, it's nice to know your frustration has been noticed and supported. Let's hope you get more opportunities to cover other games. To be honest, mate, I mean, I made that video on Friday. It took me about 3.5 days to make the video, because I went backwards and forwards about whether I should make it and whether I liked what I was saying in it and how will it be misconstrued and all that kind of stuff. But once it was kind of up there and I could just close my eyes, it's there kind of thing now. 99% of the feedback has been mega supportive, people kind of understanding the intention of what I was trying to say, and have been really, really nice. It seems to have gone gangbusters. Everybody seems to have shared it out and stuff. And it's brought in a lot of new subscribers to the channel, people who are looking for content that's not necessarily mainstream or is a little bit more niche or a bit more boutique-y. And it's brought in some new eyes, and if that means that it kind of helps me gain access to stuff that I maybe didn't see before or didn't know about, it can only be a good thing, mate. But I'm feeling G'd, mate. I feel like I feel like I bared my soul and I'm re-energized and ready to go again. So that's all good. Andros says, Osprey makes some amazing mini games that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. RPGs too. No one will ever convince me those Darker Places isn't a game against the official Alien RPG. Oh, I've never heard of those Darker Places. Actually, I think Discourse might have picked up a rule book from UK Games Expo. I think I saw she might have picked one of those up. Mr. Shy, hello mate, how you doing? Says, nice chatting you on Insta the other day, mate. Anytime, mate. Let's keep chatting now. Just I've been a bit busy this weekend with a certain visitor from the other side of the world, but yeah, I'll have a lot more time, mate, in the coming days. Discourse is saying it's a mini tome, which is a bit weird. I hate how every gang has a book in Necromunda. Yeah, that's the last thing I want to see for Warcry. Is every gang to have its own book. That would be a bit of a death knell, I think, unfortunately.
The real problem with that is trying to be across everything, because you want to have at least a vague idea of what your opponent's forces are doing, and so having to be across all that, and then the idea of having to buy all those books as well for factions you don't even play.
I think the worry is, and somebody's just chatting about it there, saying it's more of a kill team style box. I think the worry is that they know kill team is doing well for them under its current sales model of new box, new terrain, 2 new factions, rule books to go with those factions in that box.
I think a lot of that's got to do with the exclusive minis in each box, though, because people are wanting those exclusive minis for 40K. To add into their 40K forces. Yeah.
Well, the worry is they just then replicate that for AOS and for Warcry. So we'll see. Like I say, I've not taken any time. I'm learning more by reading the chat tonight than I have about what I've actually had a chance to see. So James is saying, yeah, absolutely, flying and fast moving is key in Warcry, 100%. The resin. We're catching this. Tells you how far behind we are chatting. The resin from that game. Thank you very much. Christian sharing a link there for some merchandise as well, t-shirts and hoodies. Thank you very much, mate. There was a few purchases over the weekend actually of people saying like, I'd like to support the channel kind of thing. I'll buy a t-shirt and stuff. So it was quite nice to see that. Like I wasn't trying to. The video was never about pimping myself out to try and kind of e-beg, as people always put it, but yeah, it was nice to get some support. I appreciate it. Let's have a little look. Prawn Toucher says, cup of bovril and a pie are essential on a cold Tuesday night in winter. They absolutely are, mate. Preferably crumbling lower league football ground, watching the match under the floodlights. I can almost hear like Christmas music playing in the background, and big coat on and scarf and woolly hat, just shivering there. Many memories, mate. Many memories. David Robinson, hello mate. He says, is there a supplier in the UK for Don't Look Back black site miniatures? I saw it in Forbidden Planet on Saturday in Newcastle, so I'm assuming Forbidden Planet must stock it in the UK as well. Somebody said Zatu Games has it, so I don't know if there's a distributor, a main distributor, but it's certainly in and around in the UK now a little bit. Maybe quite rare, but it's certainly, there are copies in the UK. Whoops, where did that disappear to? Is that really jumped that far? Yes, it did. Andros is a YouTuber. Eons of Battle addresses the Army Painter speed paint reactivation thing. In his opinion, he uses it as an advantage, but also it doesn't happen as often as reported. I think that's almost half the problem. Is if it's predictable, if you know why, you can either avoid it or you can work with it. And like you're saying, if he uses it to his advantage, then it's probably a good thing as well.
I've seen Eons of Battle stuff. It's he's got a good channel. He's got some good, interesting videos.
Yeah, I quite like his stuff actually. He's got some good stuff. Michael Cowan says his local game is in a Sports Direct, and there's Warhammer and board games right next to the squash rackets and golf gear. It's bizarre. I think the problem is that all like Sports Direct and game and stuff are all owned by the same guy now, by a guy called Mike Ashley, who used to own Newcastle United and was pretty much hated by Newcastle fans. And he pretty much buys up struggling businesses and basically tries to sort of make them profitable. But what he seems to be doing is just ploughing them all into one big shop together and having concessions everywhere and stuff.
Sorry, I just saw the next the next chat down.
Oh yeah.
Soy bacon is not bacon. So
is that a thing?
So technically, all bacon is amazing because soy bacon is not bacon.
No, if it's not made from pork, it's not bacon.
Exactly,
it's something else.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like what's that? There's a saying that says about if my granny had wheels, she'd be a bike, but she hasn't, so she isn't. There you go. Super Punkin Man says this group tends to have a good sense of humour. Of course we do, mate. Of course we do.
Like to think so.
Busey saying, do you think you'll move away from GW paints at some point as well as moving away from GW content? I've never really I've never done that much GW content really. I've done some when I've been interested in stuff, but then I find out over a period of time it's not really my bag kind of thing. So it's not that I'm avoiding GW content. what I'm doing is I'm not covering stuff that I'm not interested in for the pure purpose of just getting views because it's popular. That's kind of the decision I've really made. I certainly won't be moving away from GW paints because I've got a fortune sitting on the shelf behind me. I ain't replacing them anytime soon. So yes, no, I won't be. Discord says the views are just a means to an end. Up to content creators to know what their actual goals are. Views mean nothing in and of themselves. You are 100% correct. There are better ways to chase views than covering tabletop games if all you want is views. If you go and make videos about kids' toys and be an over-animated Minecraft YouTuber, if you want to just chase views, you have to do it about what you're passionate about. Otherwise it's just a job and you might as well just go and get another job that pays better.
I could imagine you in a Blippi outfit. That would be funny.
I've been called many things. Blippi is not one of them. Yeah. Johnson and the K-47 German heavy infantry are filth.
Yeah, well, they very well could be. I've not delved into the German stuff yet. I've currently bought both the Japanese and the American starter sets because I'm planning on doing probably a Pacific theater type campaign with maybe like a custom built island board, maybe.
Sounds good. Yeah. I'll skim over some of these as well because there's a lot of kind of stuff. Sort of repeating bits and pieces. Discourse is saying Warcry feels like Frank Frazetta art. Yes, I think that would be a good way, and I think that's where the Conan kind of references and kind of like thing probably comes in as well. Scanner Bartley saying GW definitely moving to a live service. Simon Dave, hello mate, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Brian says I'm in for live action Blood Bowl. Not live action Blood Bowl, mate. Live action Blitz Bowl. That's what it was. Very different games. SB says, have you thought about doing some one-off vids of older games? NS Paints drew me in with his epic video. They won't get you loads of views, but might draw some future loyal fans. Like as I said in my video on Friday, my background in gaming is much more recent. Like I only really got started in my 30s, and I got started with games like Malaphone, War Machine. So things like historical, when I say historical, I mean older games, not historical sort of like World War II stuff. Older games like Necromunda, the first time around, like Mordheim, like Epic, like Rogue Trader, they don't really mean anything to me because I've never played them. They've never been available for me to see them. So a lot of those kind of older games that people talk about with nostalgia, I just don't even have a frame of reference. So when it comes,
Epic's a great game.
Yeah. So when it comes to older games, things like Man of War, I don't even know what that is really. I know it's a board game, but I don't know anything about it.
Boats.
Yeah. So when they talk about older games, if you mean like older GW stuff and things, I don't really kind of know where to start with them, if I'm honest. When it comes to other older games, like outside of GW stuff, I guess I kind of like anything's up for grabs really. If it's something I can get my hands on, if it's something I can get some miniatures and get some rules, anything's really up for grabs. The core point is I just need to be interested in it. If I'm not interested in it, if it's not my kind of thing, I'm spending a lot of my time sort of learning rules, painting models, kind of absorb myself in something that I'm not interested in, and then that'll just come across in the videos I make. So that's kind of why I'm kind of sort of just venting a bit, I suppose, and kind of trying to realign my goals with what I really set out to do at the start, really. John says, what else have you bought on your trip? That's a good place to start, mate. So what did you buy on your trip? Let me give my voice a rest while we hear you for a bit.
What are we talking about? Just on the lead belt visit, or
whatever?
I mean,
yeah.
I had the Marvel United Blue Team box waiting for me.
You did. You had it shipped here, yes.
When I arrived, which is something I've been really excited to get my hands on. The villain in that is Mr. Sinister, who's probably one of my favourite Marvel villains, to be honest.
Yeah.
And but I'm Marvel United's a great game, but I'm also planning on double purposing those miniatures and doing a Marvel Chibi Crisis Protocol.
Yeah.
With those, which should be fun. But yeah, I mean, just normal tourist type shopping, bits and pieces like that. But on my visit to the Lead Belt, I picked up a bunch of nameless stuff and some Vermin Vault Chasers.
Yep.
when I was at Mantic, and new Dead Zone mat, things like that. And then when I was at Warlord, I picked up some stuff for K47, a few little bits and pieces, and they were very nice enough to give me a tour, and while I was there, and they gifted me some bits and pieces that we've got that we might show later on the stream. So, which was great. And then I went to Games Workshop and
had a wander around.
Yeah, had a wander around and got my just picked up a dice tumbler cup for a mate of mine.
Bugman's
that was
one.
Pretty much it.
Bugman's branded. And you managed to have a couple of cherry beers. Which
I will say this one thing: if you go to Warhammer World, definitely try the cherry stout in Bugman's. It's a very nice drop.
While we're talking about these minis as well, is one in particular I wanted to kind of show. We'll probably get to the other ones in a bit as well, but this one was quite interesting. So this was from Warlord. Let me get in the middle of the screen because my arm's in the wrong place. This was from Warlord, and this is from one of the new Silecast machines, isn't it?
Yep. So
you were saying that did they have 2 machines there?
3.
3 machines. So I'm not sure whether it's kind of common knowledge or not. I certainly wasn't aware of it. But yeah, they've got a couple of Silecast machines.
They actually have the very first one that was ever produced.
And this is the first Silecast model I've had my hand on and actually seen. And we were chatting about it last week with Discourse, and I'll be honest, the quality looks pretty good. The sculpt itself, you can see it's very flat in that one dimension.
It's a bit two-dimensional,
but it is a single piece miniature. I'd like to see what the multi-part ones are like. But initial kind of quality-wise, looks pretty good. I'm quite impressed with it.
Yeah, I was very lucky when we were just walking through and was introduced to one of the casters there, and one of the other casters flagged us down from the other side of the room and asked us to come over and have a look. And he was working with the Silecast machine, and then they told me to have a look at this, and I was quite impressed. And when I went to give it back, I was gifted it and told that I'm literally the only person outside of Warlord that has one of these. Supposedly the model's been announced and it's been displayed on the website.
So people have seen it.
No one actually has one besides me yet. So
nice one.
I think it's for Slain.
Yeah, for the 2000 AD stuff.
Yeah, I think it's one of those a model for that system. So.
Just wanted to thank AF as well for the donation there as well. Thank you for the super chat. It says Rangers of Shadow Deep is a cooperative or solo game by McCulloch that my son and I enjoy as much as Frostgrave. Yeah, I'm aware of Joe's games, to be fair, but they've never really crossed my path as something I've had the opportunity to try out and stuff. But I just kind of I got a really nice email from him over the weekend, and it was nice to chat backwards and forwards a little bit. Seems like a cool guy, and I think we'll get the opportunity to have a chat and do something together for the channel at some point. So yeah, thank you for the donation, buddy. Let's have a little look up here because there's loads of stuff. Loads of people talking about Silver Bayonet. Seems to be a bit of hot stuff at the minute, which is quite interesting. Clavax and Necromunda has so many rules now spread through so many books. You sort of have to agree which ones you're using. I can imagine that. Yeah, when I saw it growing arms and legs and limbs and extra tentacles and everything else that it does, it was definitely something that was I thought in the end, not my bag. Super Pumpkin Man says, I think Warcry should stick to the card sets. That's kind of where I was, really, I'll be honest. I kind of that was when it started to move into the books across the different Grand Alliances, and you then had to use, of course you can copy them, you can photocopy them and things like that, but I just like the cards in front. I like having them in front of me and being able to really quickly reference stuff.
Yeah, if they produce card sets for all the Underworlds warbands and stuff that they've added to the game now, I'd buy those in a heartbeat.
Let's have a little look down here. Ed saying, I think the reactivation is common with some paints rather than entirely unpredictable. Okay, so some paints do it and some paints don't. Okay, I think the way I understood it was it happens sometimes and then sometimes it doesn't happen. If it's only certain paints, I guess maybe you can work with it, I suppose. Frankenstein says Eons of Battle is my favourite YouTuber to disagree with. That's what we're here for, just to disagree with. This is why we do it, just so people can have different opinions from us. Zingbo says the ready access to each faction's rules in Warcry and Kill Team 18 has definitely driven me to buy a lot of warbands and kill teams, moving to a more codex-like model would work against that. Yeah, I get that as well, mate.
I much prefer Kill Team 18, to be honest.
I'll be honest, I've not tried the new one because when I read the rules when the new one came out, I was like, it doesn't seem better to me.
Yeah, I'm not that keen on the hand-to-hand combat system where you trade off with hits and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Type 40 Tartar says, this group is definitely the most fun I've had with a Patreon Discord group and as supportive as anything. Thank you for the very kind words, mate. It's awesome to have you as part of the gang. Craig's in the new addition to Kill Team looks interesting. This is the dark thing. I don't really know anything about it yet. I think I saw pictures of the models, which
That's
are those
the crew ones,
things, yeah. But I haven't seen anything more about it to kind of have an opinion yet. Nostoxin, we're lining up models and terrain to do the deluxe boot campaigns for Rangers of Shadow Deep. Looks great. Nice one. Transformers is Blippi's Bacon Club. That might be that might be copyrighted. I don't think we can call it that. Thomas Dinkgrave says terrain in the new Warcry box sucks. I haven't seen it. I don't know what it's
different
like.
Strokes for different folks, I guess.
Miniature Peyton says every time I wanted to do. Yes, I'm also pulled back in by the last video. A GW video, I demotivated myself and never actually finished a GW model for a video. Yeah, it's not that GW sort of doing GW videos would demote me, like demotivate me rather. It was more a case of I just wasn't energized. I never feel that I'm that like knowledge about those games because they're not really my things. So. Why would anybody want to hear what I've got to say about them when I don't really... there's other places that get better information, I guess is the quick way to say it. Tidges says, you have a fellow Aussie, what more do you need? There you go. Every live stream needs an Aussie.
I can only be in so many places at once.
Andra says, any Gaslands fans in here tonight? During the pandemic, I was obsessed with going to charity shops for toy cars and kid bashing.
Gaslands fan right here.
I've played a few games of Gaslands. Great game. I never got the second book which came out. Was it called Refueled?
Yep. That's the one I've got.
But I've got the original one. I bought the first one when it first came out.
Yep.
Happy Hungry Sleepy 23 says more times one of the best games GW ever made and the rules are free. Epic was epic, says Type 40 Tardis, and more time was one of the best. I hear loads of good things about it. I've no idea why it disappeared. Just wiped off the face of the earth.
Mordheim was something that came out while I was out of the hobby, so I can't really say I ever played it.
Okay. Camel, morning to you, buddy. How you doing? Few people giving a little bit of love to both Mordheim and Gaslands there. Miniature Painting saying Man of War was the GW beta version of a Marder. Or maybe Black Sails. Give a Marder its due. It's definitely good. It's just Black Sails from Warlord with a bit more stuff stuck on it. Prawn Toucher says a lot of the innovation in tabletop war games is coming from historical rules. Crossover games like Saga, Age of Magic deserve bigger audiences. I think there's a lot of games deserve bigger audiences. Not just Saga.
Yeah, well, regarding historical rules, that goes way over my head. That's not something that I've.
Yeah, it's not something I've spent. So. I mean, I'm not a big.
There could be some great.
There could be some awesome games. There, yeah, I'm not a massive history buff in terms of like when we studied history at school. We did like the Industrial Revolution. We did like things about. I can't even remember half it now. Things about like Rome, like Romans and stuff. We didn't do any like World War I, World War II stuff, or like sort of. We always just do a little bit about like the Vikings, because here in the northeast of England, this is where the Vikings kind of came over and stuff. So we did a bit about Vikings and stuff, but we never really. So like when I think of historicals, I think about like the World Wars or like Napoleonics and that kind of stuff, like all them kind of things. I don't know enough about them. I'm not knowledgeable enough to where like, give me Marvel Crisis Protocol. I've seen the films kind of thing. Like I've got a shortcut in there. Like I know what this is about kind of thing. I know that's a bit of a lazy way of thinking about it, but you get the reference I'm making. Tony saying, would I be a bad person to admit that the only GW game I played was first edition Warhammer Fantasy Roleplayer? Not at all, mate. Nobody has to play any games. You could just, as long as you are enjoying your hobby, mate, just paint minis. Your stuff's good enough to never have to bother playing games, mate. Don't worry about that. Scanner Bartley saying, Mr. Sinner's their business.
Yes.
Liam Jones says, you should try out Hail Caesar. If you don't want to paint a ton of 28mm, you can do other scales. Yeah, I guess that kind of builds on the back of what I was saying. I've never really dabbled much with historical stuff. the groups I've been to, the groups I've kind of joined over the years to play miniatures games, have never been really into historicals. There's been the odd Flames of War game or something like that, but the scale generally puts me off a little bit. I'm not really into the smaller scale stuff.
Flames of War is
small. I think it's smaller
like
scale.
15 mil or something.
Something like that, I think. Yeah. Crazy Mugwatch. Tinkerer says, "What's the Fallout Wasteland Warfare from Modifians?" It's a miniature skirmish game, mate. You can play it solo. It has solo rules, so there's like an AI for the game, so you can play it solo, which a lot of people find interesting. But I've personally not played it to kind of have an opinion on whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, really.
I've never played any of the Fallout stuff. I never played the video game, so
yeah,
I don't really know
I've
much
played
about
a little
the
bit
Fallout universe as a whole.
I've played a bit of Fallout New Vegas. I've played a little bit of Fallout 4, but I wouldn't say I was a huge kind of sort of Fallout fan. RPD says he loves a bit of Fallout Wasteland Warfare. Good news. Mitchell Bridges, hello from Oklahoma. Hello. He says, have you gents had any experience with one-page rules? I noticed some YouTubers given this exposure recently. We just had this conversation. I've not got any experience with one-page rules. I'll be perfectly honest. It might be something I kind of look at in the future, but up until now, it's never been something that's kind of crossed my path. I've never had a chance to kind of sort of delve into it, if you like. Take 40 Tardis is saying 5 washes later. I think this one puck mini is done. That's what I like to see, mate. Progress. You're smashing stuff out at the minute.
Absolutely cranking through them.
Prawn Toucher says he's not really a GW fan anymore, but Warhammer World is great, and you're not wrong about the beer. It's a great bar. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with going to Games Workshop just to go and drink their beer, absolutely. Perum, howdy, he says. In Discord says she didn't know that Warlord had gotten into Sirecast. Yeah, it was kind of news to me as well when you were chatting about it. I was surprised. So yeah, what VG was saying was basically they've got the first Sirecast machine on their site. They've got 3 in there in total, and it looks like they must be starting to gear up. And
yeah, seems like they're ramping up. They've got molds made and various things happening, and yeah, it was really interesting to see it all firsthand. Yeah,
nice one. Yeah. I must have skipped over some bits. Let me go back and pick up some stuff.
Vegemite prevents hangovers. It cures hangovers. I don't know about prevents.
Prevents. Let's have a look. I'm just going to dive in here. I'm sure I've missed some chat here. Quipster Nerd, how are you doing, fella? Nice to see you. He says, well, look how it is. Quipster is who I played first game in our God Tier event.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. How you doing, mate? Nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. Miniature Painting said he's looking to set up his own miniatures line, RPG Minis, and he's been looking at Sirecast as well. Insanely cheap mini-wise, and prep is literally 50 seconds.
You can also recycle the plastic, which is a really, really good thing. Like like sprues and various other bits can be then remelted down and put back into the machine. That's
fantastic, really, isn't it?
Great, yeah.
I'm just skimming down here. Tinkerer saying, isn't Modifius from UK? They are from UK, mate. They are a UK company. Jigabachi says the quality of the new Batman stuff is fantastic. I've just got my hands on a model from Tony, which is actually over there. We'll get it on the stream later on. Quality is absolutely beautiful, I'll be perfectly honest. We were chatting about it a little bit last week on the live stream with Discourse and I, talking about the quality of night models, but I hadn't seen any in quite some time. And that one is, I'll be honest, it's super sharp. Alan Stewart says, Warcry's lost me through splitting everything across books. Can't be asked. I'll take the MCP content you can make though. Like I say, I'm not up to speed on the Warcry stuff, but if that is the case, I guess it might not be my bag for much longer, kind of thing. RPD says, apart from Modifius, other stores here normally stock new models a few weeks after Modifius. Okay. Kill Team, he says, I think is really fun, but Spec Ops narrative system kneecaps the experience. I don't think I've played Spec Ops. Bad Squiddo Games, hello Annie, how are you doing? Thank you for your very nice message today as well. It was awesome to hear from you. A big fan of what you do as well. Lord Maiden says, if you're not passionate or knowledgeable, it turns into bad content as it looks like you fumble through. Yeah, I kind of like, that's my opinion, is like, at the end of the day, you either need to be super passionate about it, you need to either be super passionate or you need to be super knowledgeable, or best of both worlds, you need to be a bit of both. And if you can entertain people with your knowledge, then maybe you don't have to be mega passionate about something. But if you're really passionate and you're really enthusiastic about something, then basically like people will come along for the ride and learn together as you get more knowledgeable about it. But I think if you're not passionate about it and you're not knowledgeable about it, maybe it's not the thing that you should be kind of sort of spending your time on it. Not yet anyway, not until you get one or the other. Annie said she missed the Siocast chat, probably for the best. Happy Hungry Sleepy says more time has small model count and only one rule book, so GW killed it. Yeah, sounds like Warcry now. Scanner Bartley says the only GW game I am mad I missed out on is Dreadfleet. That dropped when I was out of the hobby for a while, but the ships look dope. I've got a copy of Dreadfleet, and I was just showing you the ships at the weekend.
Yeah, you just beautiful minis. Like, I would like to just paint some of those up for fun.
Ian saying maybe you'd like 0200 Hours as it's a very different take on historical super thematic. It's not a game I've heard of, mate. But I tell you one thing I will say is, since Friday, since this video kind of did well, lots of people have commented on the video saying, have you thought about this game? Have you tried this game? What do you think of this? And there's loads of games coming up that I have never heard of. So it's super interesting to see like some other different bits and pieces that are out there.
It's always fascinating to hear about new stuff that's out there. Personally,
absolutely, yeah. Let me skim down a bit. Tony said he's quite proud of himself. He painted his first Space Marine about a month ago for a StarCraft hobby project. I wouldn't want to paint many more as they don't appeal, but I admire those who do. Yeah, nice one.
Just wanted to point something out.
All right.
There are no historicals about pre-contact Yucatan. There is Warlord have a game that is about where they have the factions of like the Mayans, the Incas, the Aztecs. So it is about that. I'm pretty sure it's set pre-contact. I mean, if you're meaning contact with the Spanish, there's there is a game that Warlord have that has that setting.
I'm trying to remember what it's called now. I've seen it.
Yeah, it's quite good because I saw the models and in the store and they looked really good.
And he's saying the historical isn't all toxic. Depends what gangs you come across. I think that's the case with a lot of games. Like not all games are toxic. For example, like I think there are pockets of toxic people who do all sorts of hobbies everywhere across the world.
Absolutely.
So, and you will find them. The more popular those hobbies are, the more you will find of them. But in the same way, the more nice people you'll find, the more enthusiastic people you'll find.
That's the way percentages work.
It is. That's funny like that, isn't it? It says, she finds the 40k community far worse online, but there are crappy pockets of historical indeed. Yeah, there's crappy pockets of everything, whether it's a football team you support, whether it's you're a Star Wars fan, you're a Marvel fan.
Except Blitzball players, okay?
Everyone's pretty chilled about that, aren't
they?
Yeah. Down Under Blunder. Sounds like another Aussie.
Sounds like it.
So I've been enjoying 6th edition Warhammer and the Warhammer Army Project, also Old Necromunda. Is there much difference between Old Necromunda and current Necromunda? I always assumed that there were.
I played the original back in the day, and I have not played the new one, so I couldn't compare the two.
Yeah.
But, I definitely played the old one.
Yeah. Andy Smith, hello mate. It is nice to see VJ. Hope the hobby hooligans are good. Hello Smith family. Hope you're all doing well. John on Tabletop saying historical games have rivet counters. I should know, I can be bad at times, but I love seeing new people coming into historicals. It's more vibrant and more insane than first glance. I went through a bit of a period where I was kind of like, I'd managed to kind of get my hands on some bolt action minis, and I'd watched one or two war films, I think, while I was kind of sitting building them. I think I watched Fury and probably watched like Saving Private Ryan to kind of get the juices flowing a little bit. And I must admit, there was a part of me was getting quite interested in that kind of side of things. But like I said, I don't really know anybody locally who kind of plays that kind of stuff. But I would never rule out. I think I like the idea of things like bolt action, which are more sort of Kelly's Heroes, like the Hollywood style of that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if I could go down the route of like big Napoleonic armies.
You have Blood Red Skies. That's
I do have Blood Red Skies, yeah, and I suppose technically it is historical. To me, it's X-wing with planes, but like that's just kind of big. Yeah, I know what you mean. So John, if you're a historical gamer, what historical games would you recommend for somebody never played historical games before? Let's just jump again.
Mythic America. There we go.
That was it. Mythic America, yeah. Oh, we've got 2 EFs on the channel. Oh no, what are you going to do? You're going to fight to the death. Let's have a look here. Johnny Mouse is in fight. Prawn Toucher is on about how much Perry you've made off the back of Sludge and Turnip 28. Let's have a little look. When people are chatting backwards and forwards to each other, I have to...
I've never been on this end of it like this before, trying to wrap my head around it, and it's not that easy.
Tyler Peck says, damn Andy, games that bad causing you to drink. I've got water. There's just VJs on the Guinness. I haven't opened mine yet. Mine's still sealed.
Soft.
I know. I just haven't got that far yet. That's what it was. Evening, James. Hannah, how you doing? Perham saying the challenge for getting any game going that isn't GWs is you have to be willing to build a community yourself. It's going to take work. I don't disagree with that, mate. And I think that you do have to go the extra mile. I did a live stream a few weeks ago about but nobody else plays the games that I like kind of thing. And I was given suggestions about what you can do to get games of the games that you like, not just get games of the games that you can get games of kind of thing. And there are a number of things people can do, but you do have to take an onus and take an ownership for searching them out. The flip side of it is the companies that make them games also have to take some onus on building their communities and supporting local events and supporting people covering their products and shouting about them and trying to make a noise, because those companies don't have a lot of money for marketing. They're not advertising and that kind of stuff. So you need to make the most of the stuff that's free, like shouting on social media, sort of shouting when other people are shouting about the game, giving them an extra amplifying the message. And the more noise that's made about it, the more it becomes something that people have kind of like heard about. So yes, I agree, you do have to build your community, but I think it's a two-way street as well. Companies can't just kind of put a game out and expect it to succeed on its own. Spylord saying, big difference. Old Necro was based off 2nd edition 40k. I think in my head, there might have been multiple versions of Necromunda. The one the more recent one was just pretty much a cut and paste of the old rules. But I don't know if those rules were the original rules or not. That's what I was trying to...
Well, I mean, yeah, I know the old Necromunda, yeah, correct, it was based off 2nd edition 40k, which, in my opinion, was the best version of 40k back in the day. Well, there you go. Until 8th. Early 8th.
Annie's just popping off now, I think. Thank you very much for popping in, Annie. Nice to see you. Ian says, for 200 hours, think Guns of Neverone and raid movies like that. Ah, okay. See, because I do like games like Wild West Exodus, because I don't mind a cowboy film. Like, I'll be honest, I quite like Western stuff. I know you're not a massive fan of Western stuff, are you? Hey,
not everything is for everyone.
But I also really like sci-fi, so I like that weird West kind of like sort of twist and vibe on it as well. Game of Jones, what a name, I like that. I was always curious for Inquisitor, given GW's propensity for big minis nowadays. I'm amazed they haven't tried resurrecting that. I think they obviously, like, I think if they thought they could sell enough of them, I think they'd make anything. They'd make your granny if they thought they could sell enough of her kind of thing. That's what it is. Dave Robinson says, O Group is a nice set of World War II rules and can be used using 15mm figs or other scales. Okay. Ian saying, I'm sure he's right. Oh, no, it's not, especially if you try and see where you've got to and whether you would read out a certain comment. Oh, I've got no idea what that was in reference to, mate. Yeah, Mythic America, we're on that bit. John saying, Flames of War is the most accessible with solid rules. Bolt Action gives you that Hollywood feel and another solid rule set, but want more skirmish style, try Chain of Command. Interesting. I mean, I've heard of all three of them. I've never really played any of them. I'm probably more familiar with Bolt Action, just because I guess it's like, would I be right in saying it's pretty much the 40k of historical games? It's just that's how it seems to me as an outsider kind of looking in. It's the popular one.
It's the big dog.
Yeah.
In the field.
Perham saying this is why he's 3D printing several armies for one-page rules and other indie games, so I can convince people to try with painted models.
And that is the best way to do it.
It is. If a game looks good, if you've got a fancy game on a table and everything's painted and you've got some nice terrain or whatever, it doesn't really matter what the game is. People will come and have a look and generally be interested.
Be your ambassador for what you want to play.
That's it, yeah. Be the player you want to play against. That's the way to do it. James Hanna says he's still of the mind skirmish games are the way forward as most people don't have much time to play. I think it depends, mate. It's like big games can still be fast to play. Like I've played Firefight quite a bit recently, and Firefight is still relatively quick to play, even though it's a bigger scale game than Dead Zone. But then if you talk about Dead Zone, we played like a bit of a demo game today, and it was super quick. Like you really kind of like sort of fly through it. So skirmish games can be quick, generally, but then there are some skirmish games that aren't particularly fast. Like Malifaux is not a fast game, but you don't use a lot of models. So I think it depends upon your hobby. It depends upon how much personal time you have. If you have loads of time on your hands, like at home if you like, or traveling, you're doing a bit of painting, maybe painting bigger armies is not a big deal. If you're somebody that just prefers to play games, maybe skirmish games are better for you to get them to the table quickly. But I think the time it takes to play the game is probably only one small factor in it. I think if you're arranging to play a game with somebody and you've put 3 hours aside, yes, it's nice to get 2 games in, but getting one's still not better than not playing at all. Where if you don't have a lot of time to paint, that might dictate the kind of games that are good for you in that respect. Camo says, thanks for the intro to Discourse Miniatures. I've watched about a dozen of her videos in the last week. Glad you're enjoying it, mate. You're welcome for the recommendation. Mark Watson says, sharp practice is good for Napoleonics. Well, black powder in general, but sharp. I have heard of sharp practice. I think the first time I heard about it, I didn't realise it was a historical thing. I didn't realise it was like sharp, like the, what do you call it, the Sean Bean. Is it not nothing to do with that sharp? Because is it? Has that got over your head?
Absolutely.
Okay. John said, I'll try and get in touch with you privately and have a chat about historicals. Thank you, mate. I am on the On Tabletop Discord, mate, so you can probably get me there at BlackJack Legacy. Somebody else asking for Blippy's Bacon there. Right. What was it? K. Rajesh is saying, what game are you guys playing? We haven't been playing tonight, mate, but we did play. We've just been talking about earlier on. We played Blitzball yesterday. We played Dead Zone this morning, and we played a bit of Overdrive this afternoon. So yeah, we've been putting some dice down.
Absolutely.
Samir says, good to see you back, Andy. GW can't take your mojo. My vote is for Bolt Action. Just got my first starter set.
Enjoy.
Nice one. Enjoy it, mate. Busey saying, is it hot in there? Maybe you should guys have turned the AC on. Oh, he's a Spaniard, isn't he? That's what it is, man.
I'm just Aussie. I run hot. What can I say?
It is roasting, mate. There is no such thing as AC in the UK. You know that. There's not even a window in here, mate, which is nice in the winter when it doesn't get cold because it's all nicely insulated. In the summer, it kind of like just builds up gradually over time. Ed's saying there have been 4 versions of Necromunda from memory. There you go, mate. I wasn't aware of that. Ian saying that was in reference to you reading the chat. Sometimes I try and see where you get to and if you'll read a certain comment. I generally read most of the comments if I can, but sometimes I just need to speed read a little bit and catch up and kind of... I never really want to be more than about 5 or 10 minutes behind the chat if I can help it. Prawn Toucher says, 2 Fat Lardies games are great, sharp practice and chain of command. What a Tanker. I have seen a bat rep of What a Tanker actually, and it seemed quite interesting. Just like a tank battle game, looked pretty fun. Brian Levin.
Wasn't there a miniature version of World of Tanks? Or
there was.
Like
So it was originally called Tanks by Gale Force 9, and then it was rebranded to World of Tanks. And I think they moved it from maybe World War II to more modern age stuff. Yep. And then put the price up.
Yeah, of course.
Just because now it's branded.
Got to pay for that license, don't
you
we?
Have. Brian Lewandowski says Fistful of Lead is multi-genre and easy to play. Wiley Games. This is a game I've not heard of as well. Loads to check out. I need to start writing these down. Samir saying, hey Blackjack Legion, don't forget to like this stream. A like is always very much appreciated. Thank you. It does help. Yeah, Charlie Mouse says time equals model count and complexity. Yeah, you're probably not wrong there, mate. Complexity is definitely a big part of it. Perham says Dead Zone, Kings of War, one-page rules, Firefight. I like games that are aiming at sub 2-hour match time. That way you can get more than one match in a weekend and get together. For me, mate, I'll tell you, a big consideration for me, and we were been chatting about this weekend, is how easy is it to just play the rules as opposed to constantly referencing the rules while you're playing. because it might be if your game takes 2 hours, but it's 2 hours of solid gameplay and you know the rules pretty much inside out, and you're having fun going backwards and forwards. That to me is kind of better than a game that plays in 30 minutes, but it takes you an hour because you've got your head in the book all the time, and so. It depends how often you play stuff. I like to play lots of different things, so I tend to play stuff that my tiny little brain can kind of maintain for long enough. So yeah, there's a mixture of stuff there.
And being able to refresh yourself on, if it's something you've played before, but you only need the first round of the game to kind of refresh yourself, like yourself with Overdrive today.
Yeah.
Like, it's very sort of that first turn, we did a few wrong things.
It's been a while since I played it, and then it all kind of.
But it all came back really quickly, and with Dead Zone, like it was, even though it was only the small scale training mission, it felt like it came together very naturally, and before we knew it, we're rolling dice without having to check any rules at all.
Yeah, so. Absolutely, yeah. Samir says, isn't Warlord supposed to be introducing a skirmish version of bolt action? I recall seeing something about it. I've not heard anything made, but it doesn't mean it's not happening. Busey saying, keep hydrated in these hot temperatures, even if it is Guinness. Let's have a little look. Ari Dawn, hello, he says, what I like about the combination of Warcry and Age of Sigmar is you can quickly get started playing Warcry and build up the Age of Sigmar. Best of both worlds. I don't disagree with you from a purely marketing and company point of view, as in, buy these, when you've got lots of them, you can play the bigger game. But I think the games are so different that just being able to use minis in both isn't necessarily a reason to play both. I think... if you like Warcry, I'm not sure that necessarily AOS will be for you. And if you like AOS, I'm not necessarily sure that Warcry has enough complexity.
It's great that you can get dual use out of your miniatures if you enjoy both systems.
Yeah.
But just because you have the models doesn't necessitate playing both systems, I don't think.
Yeah. Ian's saying there as well, Sharp was based on the Napoleonic Wars, basically what Sean Bean was like. So it's short. So there was a TV series called Sharp, and Sean Bean played Sharp, and I always assumed Sharp practice. I didn't realise that at first, but that's what my assumption's been since.
Yeah, right.
I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong now, but I thought that's what it was. Gavin M says Battle Group from Plastic Soldier Company is great for World War II. You can play platoon level to company level if you want, and it works in 15mm. The best scale for anything that isn't a skirmish game. I've heard of Battle Group. There is a local guy to me who was quite into it. I'm not sure he was really playing or if he was just painting kind of nice stuff, but he always kind of talked about that one. Dave says skirmish games are good to use as an introduction to a period such as sharp practice and lead into Napoleonics. I can get that. I think most games really need a small scale, because we were just talking about the little demo game we did today of Dead Zone, that being able to it took about 30 minutes really, didn't it? 30 minutes, 45 minutes to kind of play through a little demo game. And it was a case of if somebody says, can you show me how to play this? Or can you tell me about this? And say, even better, I can give you a little demo game. I think if the game is small enough, it's absolutely done. But what you're saying was you couldn't do that with something like 40k or AOS or bigger scale games where I don't think you get the flavour at small levels, but skirmish games you definitely do. Charlie Mouse's Battletech's got a very low model count but does not end in normal skirmish times. Warlord Games Waterloo means they use his entire regiments, but it's over and around the same time. Yeah, and I think there's probably a bit of complexity in
Well, I've been painting up. I mean, I posted the photos in the Discord and stuff for a previous painting. I've painted up a bunch of Battletech recently, and but I'm personally only interested in playing the Alpha Strike rules. I find the old rules just far too dense. Far too dense for this old brain.
Samia's saying World of Tanks is a lot of fun. Kids love playing it. I think World of Tanks is almost a little bit like really simplified X-Wing with tanks as well, like movement templates and stuff like that. I think it's pretty cool. Andy Smith saying Infinity, come down to Fast Panda. It's not hard to learn, difficult to master. My only kind of concerns with Infinity is it feels like one of them games that I need to dedicate my time to hold all of the information in my head. It never feels difficult to kind of know the basics, but then as soon as you try and build like a faction or build an army, if you like, or a squad, there's so many individual rules for different weapons and different models, and that's when my head just goes like, I'm all right with the little kind of like the little starter sets where it teaches you step by step. I'm all right with that because it kind of builds it up gradually. But as soon as I try and branch out from that,
I've seen the minis, but never seen the game played. Never watched a bat rep or anything like that. So
Bradley Bigger says the new version of Heavy Gear Blitz is really good. The model count's reasonable. Not something I'm familiar with, mate. Troy Mouse says he tries to keep a cheat sheet on him for the rules that are going to come up. Yeah, I think that's another way of being able to kind of have a little bit of a...
Cheat sheets?
Yeah.
All the way.
Yeah.
For an old brain, cheat sheets are the way to go.
Absolutely. I think that is one of the things I like in games, is I like having cards in front of me because it's almost like I've got ready-made cheat sheets. Like these are all the things that this model can do. That's all I really have to worry about.
The back of the rule book, quick reference, should literally be mandatory.
It should be law.
Should be the law.
On the back of the rule book, there should be a quick reference.
Quick reference sheet on every game system should be the rule.
Yeah, I agree with that. Andy Smith says, "Don't look back." Is 46 quid? Does that do? That's reasonable, and that's good.
Yeah,
good
I mean, I'd consider it at that price for sure.
Yeah. Is it Seb Ishichin? I think that's how I pronounce it. Just wondering, do you still have the rechargeable airbrush, and is it still working well? Works absolutely fine, mate. I use it for doing little bits of like base coating, priming, and stuff like that. I quite often use it maybe just to put like a zenithal highlight down. If I want to do anything a bit more fancy, or if I'm doing like longer painting sessions, I'll come down here and use my airbrush and my booth and stuff like that. But for small bits of work or little bits of touch-up stuff, or putting like clear varnish on, matte varnish. I still use it all the time, mate. It's working fine. The battery seems to keep its hold. You can plug the power lead into it and put the power lead into like a USB power bank, so that you don't have to, so the battery doesn't run out and you're still quite portable. And it's also, I think the brush itself isn't the best. Like I wouldn't be wanting to do anything too fancy with it, but then I've got a better brush that fits on top of that as well. And so it's kind of the best of both worlds, really. So yeah, absolutely still using it for, what did it cost me? 30 quid, I think it was. It's been one of the best little bits of hobby kits I've bought, really. Dead handy. Let's have a little look here. Captain F. Castle says, time and energy are low for me at the moment, so most of my wargaming is with cardboard counters rather than miniatures. Quick to set up and lower space requirements. I tell you what, if you're not really into the hobby side of like painting and building and stuff, the games play the same.
Exactly.
Like, let's be honest.
Still get the same experience.
Like all we're doing is we're just putting really nice tokens on a table to play a game with. That's what it's all about. Colonel Failure, thank you very much. He says, you have email. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much for the donation, buddy.
That after the stream.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what you're expecting for a donation with that email. I'm scared to check now, but thank you very much. I'll check my mails after the stream. Thank you. That's where we're up to here.
Bolt action.
Up here. Bolt action skirmish is called Firefight. There is some content from 2 or 3 years ago, but I can't find anything more. That's unfortunate that it's also called Firefight.
Yeah.
Mantic's game is called Firefight. So
there's a lot of crossover in game names that can be a bit confusing.
Like Armada.
Yeah.
It's interesting actually. I've never heard of it, so I don't know whether that's just been buried over the years. But yeah, it'll be good to come and to see something like that. Johnson, Alpha Strike's the best BattleTech skirmish game rules, fast and punchy. Is that the short one you've been telling me about? Yeah,
agreed.
And Samir says, huge yes to BattleTech. I'm waiting for you to get into it. I'll be honest, I'm not that really into kind of mechs. And
if you're not into mechs, I can definitely see how it just wouldn't hold any fascination.
Yeah, so it's never really interested me from that kind of like, that point of view. But I'll be honest, I like playing fun games. Like, just because I haven't played it doesn't mean I would literally have a demo game of anything.
And with the scale being so different though as well, it can be can be difficult to acquire a whole new set of terrain if you're used to playing 28mm. And you then want to get into doing BattleTech. It's that said, on the upside, I'm pretty sure it's a standard one of the standard rail like scales. So you can buy a lot of pre-done stuff, I think, that would work with BattleTech. So.
Okay. Yeah, like I say, I am open to a demo of any game. If somebody was kind of local to me, or I'm going to some convention and someone says,
That's how I got him hooked on Blitzball.
Yeah, it is. Prime example, Blitzball is not... I'm not a big fan of Blood Bowl. I think I've said this many, many times. I find the game a little bit like of a negative fun experience. And VJ was trying to convince me to play Blitzball. You can't buy it in the UK. It wasn't something I would have come across on a shelf somewhere. And he's like, it's free to play on Tabletop Simulator. Let's give it a game. We played it, and it was just like, Oh yeah, this is tons of fun now. How do I get my hands on a copy?
We had a great laugh.
We did. We have a good laugh. We've played a few times online, and we've now played it in the flesh.
Yes.
So yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed the game. And I even said yesterday when we were sitting playing, I always forget how good this is. I should definitely play it more.
It was literally 5 minutes into the game.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, I'm all for trying new stuff. I like playing games. I love the hobby, the general hobby, and I'll try anything. And if it works for me, I'll play it again. And if it doesn't, then I know that it's not my kind of thing. I don't think there's any bad games out there. There's just games that work for me personally, and games that don't work for me.
Games that are for you, games that are for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Andy says, how games get selected in the Smith house. Number 1, can you learn it and play it pissed? That's about it. I tell you what, mate, there's worse ways to choose your games, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Perham said, I think Papercraft Minis get too much hate. I never turn down to getting a fun game in. Do you know what? There are gatekeepers in all aspects of tabletop gaming, be it RPGs, board games, miniatures games, and just because somebody likes painted miniatures, like if people don't want to paint the miniatures, I'm all for them not painting the miniatures and playing games anywhere. At the end of the day, like we said, they're
as long as you're playing games and having fun, that's what matters.
100%. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with like standees and papercraft stuff, not at all. I need to know how to say this name now. Seb-ish. All I can keep seeing is like chicken in the middle, and I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm just reading that as Sebby chicken.
Sebichin, I think it is. I'll call you Seb. You know who I mean now, okay, Seb? I apologise. It's my Geordie accent. I can't get my lips around it. That's what it is. Fantastic. May treat myself to one just for the bigger models in my games. Yeah, I found it was really good. How it came about was somebody had seen a battery-operated airbrush, and we were all, they must be garbage. I can't believe they're any good. There's no way that'll last 5 minutes.
They were popping up on everyone's Facebook, like ads for a while. It was everywhere.
So I saw one on Amazon. It was 30 quid, and I thought, I'll take a punt on it. If it's garbage, I'll send it back. Amazon's got a good returns policy. I'm not losing any money, kind of thing. If it's no good, I'll send it back. But actually, when it came and I used it for the review, and it was like, actually, I can see this being really handy. Like if I'm traveling, like in my old job, if I was traveling away and I wanted to do a bit of painting, it was ideal to be able to kind of get some coats down quick. Nothing like spray painting inside a hotel room just to, just to get your deposit and never get back again. But yeah, so I quite enjoyed it, mate. Quick reference and page index. Nostock saying 100%, mate. Ed said first game of Rogue Trader with cardboard tokens in the back of the book. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember printing those out myself.
Yeah. The token point, Trolley Mouse in token point reminded me of one of the more insidious things about games using true line of sight. Proxies change how a unit functions, resulting in the idea of playing with them is cheating. Yeah, I know what you mean, and it's kind of funny. Like I remember hearing people saying like modelling for advantage. So like I'm using this model because it's crouching, which means it's like it's in cover more often.
I think if you were playing with tokens or like standees or whatever, I think you would definitely have to have some sort of house ruling regarding line of sight.
I think if the game comes with standees as an option, it would generally probably not have true line of sight, or you get into the kind of technically true line of sight, a bit like Infinity, where you basically have a cylinder from the base.
Oh, okay.
So, so the Infinity actually you can buy like little tokens or markers that you can replace your model with, and see like, can you see it? Because it's essentially the way they work is if you've got a 30mm base, it's a 30mm diameter cylinder to the height of the model. So it doesn't matter if the gun's poking out, it doesn't matter if the cape's flowing out to the side. It's like, it's a little...
Didn't one of the other systems just recently move to a similar...
Dead Zone's just moved to the same thing as well. So it used to have true line of sight. They've gone to basically...
Well, I could see your gun barrel earlier today.
Yeah, there you go. That's why you couldn't shoot them.
Yeah.
Ted Settlemyer, hello mate. He's saying, sorry he's joining late. Never be sorry, mate. Always glad to have you here. He says, have you looked at Conquest by Parabellum? We did mention this earlier on, mate. I had a quick look when it first come out. There was a few things that were a bit quirky that I couldn't quite get my head around, like the rolling low rather than rolling high and stuff. That felt that they were there just for the sake of being a bit different. But it was a long time ago I tried it. I mean, who knows, it might be a bit different these days. When I tried it, it was absolutely brand new kind of thing. Ian saying the Battletech universe is great, maybe the deepest of all. I've heard that there's a lot of lore and background.
Of lore in Battletech.
bit of chat there about Battletech. Spiderlord saying, how a UK company like GW can't make Blitzball available in the UK is beyond me. It's very frustrating, as I'd love to get a copy. Yeah, and Ian Nostock saying there because they don't need to. I guess that's what it is. They like basically are they're making their money from Blood Bowl. I guess maybe they just don't want to rock the boat. It was something where it was made for other markets as like a board game, really. But you can grow it. So one of the things with Blitzball is it comes with the cards for the different the different team members. For you to play with the ones that's in the box. It comes season 2 comes with dwarfs and humans, but it also comes with the cards for all of the other factions.
Blood Bowl teams.
So if you buy a Blood Bowl team, basically half of them, you know how they always come with 2 matching sprues. A Blitzball team is basically one of those sprues. They have like a fixed team, don't they? So basically, you can buy a box. You end up with 2 teams in it basically. So if you want to,
so you can play mirror matches.
You can play mirror matches. You can swap with a friend and kind of like, if you buy that team, I'll buy this team, and we can swap a sprue each. And then all of the stats for them are all inside the original box. So you only really have to buy the box and then any teams that you like the look of, and you've got like a really kind of interesting game. Where obviously Blood Bowl, there's all the different books that come out and all the extra pictures, and there's a lot more from a spend point of view. Yeah. RPD, take care, buddy. Thanks for coming in. Gamer Jones says, if you like Blitzball, have you had the opportunity to try Slaughter Ball? 4-player speedball, great fun. I have never even heard of Slaughter Ball. No, I'm a big fan of speedball from when I was a kid, playing Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe. Back
I'd be
on
interested
the Mega Drive.
to see that. I'll have to give that a Google after the stream.
Yeah. Andy Smith says, "See infinity is ace." Ian says, "What is that? Why the Drowned Earth uses separate clear standees for line of sight movement stuff, and Dead Zone works well for that? They recognise that models are different." Yeah, because I think it's unfair for certain things. Like just because you want to make a really nice dynamic model with a big flowing cape or something like that, or standing on a tactical rock. Like, it's unfair that the line of sight then becomes a reason why you wouldn't take that model. Because, of course, there's those people that only want to play that kind of thing.
Yeah, play that way. Yep.
Yeah. Let's have a little look here. Ed saying Star Wars Legion has templates too. I hadn't realised that, mate. I didn't realise they do. Realistically, all games with true line of sight should convert. It saves arguments. Anything that saves arguments, like... I'd like to think that most decisions were kind of black and white and not edge cases of like, well, technically I can see the tip of your cape or like that kind of stuff. Captain F. Castle says, line of sight and modelling for advantage. I like Malifaux for that. The physical model count doesn't matter. Line of sight is base to base, and scenery and models have set heights. Exactly. Firefight do the same thing now as well for Mantic. There's a lot of places just go with, like if you can draw a line, like Marvel is another one that works like that. If you can draw a line from the base to the base, then it's kind of like, you can see it, and then the heights of the models, like if there's a car in between, and the car's height 2 and your model's height 3, I can see you kind of thing. It becomes a little bit more abstract that you have to think about, but it's very quickly becomes kind of second nature. Mark Zielinski, late the party, says, nice to see you, Mark, how you doing? Ian said he would buy Blitzball today if it was available here.
Australia, I bought my copy, obviously, in Australia. Barnes & Noble in the US will ship Blitzball to Australia.
Yeah, they don't ship to the UK. But
they won't ship to the UK, but they'll ship to Australia. There's a few countries, it's not all of them. I think there's Australia, New Zealand, a couple of other ones I know. But yeah, they've shipped it direct. I've bought both of my season boxes directly from Barnes & Noble and had them shipped to Australia without a problem.
Captain Castle is saying there's no real ongoing revenue stream with Blitzball. Is it worth shelf space in a GW store if it doesn't bring you back month after month? I guess there's the same amount of revenue as Blood Bowl for people buying new teams and stuff like that. I mean, there's no reason why it wouldn't be any different.
But it's not something I think would take up a whole lot of shelf space either. Really, only need one copy on display and a couple in the storeroom out the back.
Yeah. Ted says if there was a game you could resurrect, what would it be? I'm not that old and long in the tooth, mate, when it comes to gaming. I guess it might be a better question for you.
Ooh, a game if I could resurrect. Come back to that one. That's going to take some thought.
Yeah, of all the games, I wouldn't. I'd quite like to resurrect War Machine version 2, or Prime 2 as it was called, because that was a good rule set. The third edition wasn't particularly great, which is where they are now. What else have I played that I would kind of like to roll back an edition or something like that? I think generally games generally get better with later editions, although certainly the ones I've played, because they fix things generally over time. But that's one game where I think it was pretty good, and the need to sell more stuff kind of ruled it backwards for me, I think. Ian said easy, but shipping, I'm scared. I'll look though.
Hey, the shipping wasn't that expensive, I found. But
yeah, loads of people saying Mordheim now seems to be people's best guesses of what they would like to see come back. I think that the likes of Mordheim could potentially make it like an appearance. I can almost see Mordheim working with something like Cursed City style minis. You know, them kind of like sort of the witch hunters and things that were never really a thing in AOS. But I think when Old World comes back, there's potential for them to start to kind of revisit some of that.
I'm fascinated to see what the Old World thing actually is. So
yeah, I mean, it could be anything, couldn't it?
There's very little information about it so far. I mean, they've covered a lot of the background lore, well, not a lot, but they've covered some of the background lore and stuff. But I mean, essentially, we don't know a scale. We know supposedly square bases, but what that really means, who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Charlie Mouse is saying he would resurrect All Quiet on the Martian Front. I've heard of that game actually, but I've never played it. War of the Worlds timeline.
Ian, if you really want to get yourself a copy, give me a shout. I may be persuaded to part with my Season 1 box.
There you go. Hey, I tell you what, hooking up friends here, aren't we? Gumero says, hello from Paraguay, Mr. Blackjack. Good evening or good morning, whatever it is. I don't know what the time difference is in Paraguay. Welcome to the day, night, evening, morning, afternoon. Pronto says, I would have said Man of War, but Kings of War Armada does that job for me. Andy Smith says, what's Old World? Old World is basically the resurrection of
Warhammer Fantasy.
Fantasy, basically something coming up. Scanner Barkley, thank you so much for the donation. It says £5 to say, let's resurrect Warzone Mutant Chronicles. GOAT tier game. I've heard of that, but I don't think I really know what it is.
I think I remember seeing the rule book many, many years ago, but yeah, I've never played it.
Yeah. Simon Davis saying he hopes Old World's 15 mil can't collect another massive army. I do wonder whether part of the plan of moving Horus Heresy stuff to plastic is about freeing up Forge World, and we're going to see the Old World being very much Forge World based.
Yeah, that could be the case. I mean, personally, I would probably like to see it change, like a scale change, like you mentioned, down to 15 mil.
Yeah.
Or some such.
Yeah. Ian saying, so good lore-wise, Old World, but so many good big box games that GW killed. Like I mentioned, like on my video on Friday and stuff. Obviously, I wasn't into GW games back then. Fantasy kind of passed me by. I wasn't really into fantasy stuff back then. I've always been like a Star Wars kid, into sci-fi things. So fantasy never really interested me much. So the Old World lore, I don't know anything at all about it. I've never read a book. I've never really picked up a battle tome and read any stuff from it. I don't know much about it really. Were you a fan? Were you more?
Yeah, I played Warhammer Fantasy Battle back in the day. Played the I would say 5th edition, maybe. I think it was. Whatever the box was that had the big high elf guy on the cover and stuff. I can't even remember which one it was, but it would have been around the same time as like 40k 2nd edition.
Okay.
Blood Bowl 3rd edition. That was kind of
so
when
maybe
I was
like
an active
4th
gamer.
or 5th edition or something.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking. Yeah, 4th or 5th.
I think my earliest memories of Warhammer Fantasy was the 7th edition box. I think it was, which was High Elves and Skaven. It might have been.
Okay,
That's the
I
one,
could be right off.
That's the one I remember, which I think was around 5th edition 40k, around the same time I think. And I just remember the box.
I think there was something just a little ways back that I was going to address. The thing question about Mordheim there.
Yeah.
If you want to read George.
Point. Now, when he played Mordheim, it took longer to set up than play the game, as opponents would bottle it very quickly.
I can agree with you on that. I do remember playing Necromunda, and bottle tests were a thing in that. I've never been a fan of games where, like, as soon as like 50% of your models or whatever are gone, you've got to do a bottle test, and basically you can lose the game over that. I've always been a fan of games where your models stay on the table until they die.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of psychology rules in games, just in general. It's like, you're there to fight.
Yeah, just get on with it. Ted says, you ever dabble in historicals? Yeah, we just been talking about that earlier, mate. It's not really been my experience. I've not really had the opportunity yet, but never say never, as they say. Ian says, or would you, because your Sigmar mates you recommended last time came back and said Barnes & Noble said they would ship to the UK. I think Barnes & Noble used to ship to the UK, and then they turned something off, didn't they? So that basically when you tried to check out, it wouldn't allow you to, it would let you put it in your basket, it would let you fill all the details in, and when you went to check out, it basically kicked you off. I think that's what was happening with it.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
In all honesty, the 2 times when I've actually gone there with this express intention of actually buying it, it's worked. It's gone through. But I think there was a thing like if I used PayPal to buy it, it worked. But if I tried to use like a local credit card or something, it wouldn't work.
Interesting.
So I think it really means your Sigmar mates, the agents of Sigmar guys that put together the bulk purchase of Blitz Bowl sets. The Battlefleet Spiderlord, Battlefleet Gothic call. I have not played Battlefleet Gothic, but I played the original Space Fleet, which was Battlefleet Gothic before it became a real game. One of the tiny little... If you've seen any of Snipe and Weeb's recent videos, they covered Crunch, which was like a scaled down Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
They covered Space Fleet, which was like a scaled down Battlefleet Gothic. These were like starter games that GW produced in and around that time period of like 2nd edition, 40k, stuff like that.
Interesting. Captain Castle saying, yeah, geez, those unit sizes with Forge World pricing. I'm not even sure if it's going to be big unit sizes. I mean, they teased kind of square bases coming back and stuff.
That's all they've said regarding that, as far as I know, is square bases. That's it. There's been no comments about unit sizes, no questions about what scale, no idea of like maybe one model representing multiple things on the tabletop. Like
could be anything, like, couldn't it?
Could be anything. There's
and I guess the only reason I don't see it being plastic at this point is because they've got real manufacturing capacity issues. Like they're always kind of like maxed out. If the assumption is that when they get their new production facilities up and running, that's when they can release Old World, and that's what the delays in it. Then maybe they're going to be plastics. Maybe that's the difference.
And Ian H. Epic 40k, that would be good to see again. I agree with you there. I have a very big soft spot for Epic. For them bringing back Epic, I would like to see that.
Yeah, Captain Castle saying Warhammer Fantasy Roleplayer was part of his indoctrination in the late 80s and 90s.
Yep.
Yeah, I've done bits of RPGs, but it's been a more recent thing for me. So
recently played some Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay online with a few friends in the States over COVID lockdown.
There you go.
So that was great fun. Yeah.
Discourse saying Island of Blood. That was the fantasy box. Yeah, with the high elves and the Skaven.
Yep.
Ted Settlemyer says original epic with the squats and the cards. Nostock says I always worry when GW resurrect stuff, it's never as good and comes in 40 books or released over 3 years. Only 40 and only 3 years. Climax says I like to see them be creative and come up with modern rule systems as well. Yeah. And Mark's in 5th edition 40k. How have we got a stream called This Is Not About GW? This is what we've talked about for the last 10 minutes. Explore Norfolk. Oh, George is saying resurrect Hero Quest. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I'll stick with my original box. Thanks very much.
Explore Norfolk says evening all, a bit late at the party. That's okay, buddy. Welcome along. Says he's looking forward to Old World, maybe a chance to break out his entire Dogs of War army again, and he hopes Battlefleet Gothic makes a comeback. Right, let's have a little talk. Look across here. Mark, here we are. John saying, I hope they flesh out the Spanish faction in the Old World. It's called Estelia. It seems like I'd have to buy in. Oh, is that all it takes to get you to buy a game where you just kind of have something that sounds a little bit like your surname? Simon Davis says, more epic scale games would be great. He starts messing with 15mm historicals. You can have big armies for cheap. I think for me, 15mm doesn't really inspire me, like a scale of games. I always feel it's a little bit. I'm getting old. My eyesight's not what it used to be, and I struggle at the best of times to paint like eyes on like 28mm models. So I can't see me ever like wanting to really scale down.
I think having 15mm means to me that gives me permission to not have to paint eyes.
yeah, there is that line. Yeah, there is that. John Baxter says, good chat, got a drop, catch you later. Thank you, John. Mark saying he loved the Island of Blood box set. Adam Dodge said his first game was first edition Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Rules were more like guidelines back then. It sounds like something like they see in Pirates of the Caribbean. More a set of guidelines. Pronto just he's got a better collection of licensed games that failed. Halo Fleet Battles and Terminator Genesis were both a lot of fun. Yeah, Halo Fleet Battles was made by Spartan Games, and I think what happened was they had a big Kickstarter, and I think they overstretched, they overinvested, and they bought their own machines, or their own manufacturing machines, decided to bring it all in-house, and I think it basically just almost bankrupted them. I think they almost just collapsed under their own weight of expanding too fast. And then what happened was War Cradle picked up Dystopian Wars from them.
Yeah,
because they had that as well.
Is that Halo Fleet Battles, as in like Halo the video game?
Yeah.
I never played it. I'm not much of a video gamer, so hence Fallout, Halo, all that sort of stuff. That's past my years. I mean, when we're talking video games, I'm talking Commodore 64 games.
Captain Castle says Talon and Space Empires from GMT. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what GMT stands
Hex
for.
And counter games.
Hex and counter games.
Minis,
Desire to play Gothic. Gamero says Full Thrust is a great spaceship game. Mini agnostic, strong DIY feel. I feel I've heard of that game, Full Thrust. Like it's like a space battle thing. I might be getting it mixed up with the game.
I played a space battle thing at TMX, Uncle Adam's convention that I went to. I'm not sure if it was Full Thrust, but it was it was a very enjoyable game. The only problem was that I was incredibly hungover when I tried to play the demo game. Didn't feel too hot.
Yeah, I can imagine, mate. Ian saying there, square bases, the Emperor approves. Spylord saying they would bring back the original Warhammer Quest with the role-play book and everything. Well, careful what you wish for, mate. You'd be surprised what comes back. Mark saying, is Forge World still doing the models for Old World? No idea, mate. It's pure guesswork at the minute. Yeah. Mark Watson saying he'd love to see Starfleet Battles return. Not that it's gone, but it's amazing to see it updated to the DS9 era.
So that's I'm
assuming Star Trek. I assume so, yeah.
Miniatures game.
The only Star Trek miniatures game I can remember was it called Attack Wing or something, which was essentially X-Wing, but for Star Trek ships.
Star Trek ships,
yeah.
Gotcha.
George is saying he's still got Warhammer Quest. Charlie Mouse says, there's a tricky question. Where is the line between a war game and a board game? I tend to say, personally, the line is drawn between whether you're using measuring templates to move, be that a widget or a kind of a tape measure, and whether you're using hexes, squares on a board. That's where I would personally kind of...
I would say there is no line. Who cares? It's all fun. Just have fun.
Okay, I don't disagree with that either. But I think it's more purely from a like, when is a board? There's so much crossover these days. Things like Kickstarter have blurred the lines because really cool board games come with loads of minis, and some really cool minis games can be played on a board.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like look at Dead Zone as an example. You don't use a tape measure, but I wouldn't class it as a board game, I suppose.
Well, I think those GW games like Bladeborn and Fire Team, the ones that basically use the miniatures from the mainline games, but then they're played on a smaller hex thing. Like Bladeborn is essentially the Warcry rules, but on a hex board.
Yeah.
So like, where do you draw the line on that? Is it a board game? Is it a mini war game?
Ian Cini agrees. There's no line. Technically, chess is a war game.
Yeah.
On a board.
I would agree.
Nostock saying so is Dead Zone a board game. Yeah, that's what I mean. There's always kind of like, there's always the rule that, was it the exception that proves the rule, isn't there? Yoakum says, great lively chat tonight. Awesome to see so many new people in. It is, mate. Yeah, thank you. If you are new here tonight and you haven't subscribed, first of all,
do so.
Why have you not subscribed? Second of all, thank you very much. I do really appreciate the positive comments. I'll be honest, I have read 90% of all of the comments that came up on Friday's video. I spent about 3 hours on Friday kind of answering comments as they were coming in, and then it became a little bit overwhelming, so I've kind of decided to let the video die down. When it's kind of petered out, I'll go back and I'll revisit it and kind of catch up on people's comments and stuff. But I will read every single one, and there's some not so nice ones, but the vast majority are really positive, some good creative kind of ideas and constructive ideas as well. So yeah, thank you to all the new gang, and thank you to the old gang for hanging around as well. Clark says, Yoakum's also saying he's being quiet because he types so slow in English, but he's also planned his gang for a game of Carnivore tomorrow. I expect to see pictures, mate. And he said it's nice to see VJ. Clark said it's apples and pears, war games about the theme and board game about the components. I don't necessarily agree with that. I've played some board games that have really good themes. Like I've played like the Godfather board game. I quite like that, and that there's a lot of that is definitely a board game, but there's a lot of theme in it. Type 40 Taurus says Spartan's demise was a combo of bad management, no focus, and the owner had severe health issues. Yeah, I don't know if the health issues were almost on the back of the fact that like things weren't going well as well. To be fair, dystopian wars killed them. Yeah, I think there was an element of I think they overinvested in Halo. Did a dystopian wars Kickstarter and then couldn't fulfill it. I think basically, I think they got themselves into a real pickle. Spylord says Kill Team's a board game, Space Hulk is a board game. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. Yeah, but I don't think that's where the line's drawn. I think that's just. Prawn Toucher says there's an ancient war game called To the Strongest that uses a gridded table and no measurement. There's quite a few games now that are using like less or more creative ways to measure. I mean. You could say Kill Team now doesn't use a tape measure. It uses one of those widgets. Marvel Crisis Protocol uses measuring sticks, which aren't technically inches. Star Wars Legion uses measuring stuff. Like things like Dead Zone.
I love the elegance of the Dead Zone system.
The idea.
I love the idea of just moving the amount of squares that you've got, but then being able to freely position within the square to take advantage of the line of sight stuff. I think that's such an elegant blending of the two ways of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Matt says all war games are board games. Not all board games are war games. Interesting. Ian says war games are style. The board is just a medium. It's delivered like music, digital, analog. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that, mate. Mark says the line between a war game and a board game is about 6 inches into the deployment zone. You're right, mate. And Clavak saying, yeah, I mean, a war game is a game about war. It can be played on a board or not, with miniatures or not. I guess war game has become like a catch-all term now, though, for any miniatures game that you kind of use tape measures with, like war gaming, I think, as opposed to tabletop gaming, as opposed to miniatures gaming. I think war gaming has almost become more of a catch-all now. If you see you play war games, it doesn't necessarily mean you're playing like World War II historicals or something. Ian saying, I think the overinvestment was maybe due to thinking the IP was really popular, but outside the Salute where I saw the models, I haven't seen them again. Yeah, I think, to be honest, mate, I think it died a death pretty much on arrival, unfortunately. And maybe they did overestimate it, but did it not go to Kickstarter? So I guess they kind of knew what the market was like. So, James Bray says, does it come with a board that you have to play on? If so, board game. If not, tabletop game. Interesting. You get a lot of crossover in that respect, though.
There's a lot of literalism going on.
Yeah, there is a little bit. Yeah. Simon Davis says, did the Dust 1942 game have problem with Kickstarter too? That was such a cool game, but that really hurt it. I don't remember, mate. I remember the Dust 1942 being a thing, but I've got no idea.
Yeah, I saw some source books for that. I think they were when I was at the Orcs Nest in London. Yeah, they had some books for Dust on the shelf.
Yeah.
A bit dusty too, they were, because they looked like they'd been there a while.
Clavak saying, can a card game be a war game? I guess if the card game is about war, then it's a war game, isn't it? Clavak saying, also saying Undaunted, for example. Yeah, exactly, mate. Yellow Belly Tabletop, as Lemmy said, we're just a rock and roll band. There you go. Derek saying, what was that one? Something Bards for Decades. Bless me, Wings of War uses movement cards to move. I'm not familiar with Wings of War. Ted says, love the chat, but what gaming content can we expect to see in the future? Do you know what, mate? I'll be perfectly honest, I don't know yet. I haven't decided. I'm going to be covering as much as I can about lots of different things that are basically, whether they're popular, they're popular and I enjoy them, or whether they're not that popular and I enjoy them anyway. But I'll be covering the stuff that, Like if people come to me with ideas and say, what do you think of this? And I get the opportunity to demo it or test it out or play like an online version or something, and it's something that kind of lights the fires and gets the juices going, or it has really cool models that I'll enjoy painting on stream or something like that. I think everything's up for grabs. I think the idea of this channel was always about sharing the stuff that I was passionate about that you don't really get to see elsewhere. And I think somewhere along the line, I started doing this full time, and I wanted to make sure it was sustainable and make sure I could kind of keep doing it in the future because I absolutely love doing it. And somewhere along the line, I kind of lost the focus that it was about the kind of the passion I had for the games a little bit. Like it's never got to the point where the whole thing is going to collapse. Like from a financial point of view, like I'm doing all right. It's like there's been a lot of people in comments saying about, oh well, the problem you've got is you thought you could kind of make a living out of it, covering stuff that nobody watches, kind of thing. Like I decided to do this full time when I was covering games that nobody watched, that nobody played, but because there was a passionate community who wanted to see that content and would support me through things like Patreon and other things and stuff. And between us as a group of people, that allowed us to make content that maybe only a small number of people would see, but those people were really passionate and really supportive about seeing something that they didn't get to see. And over a period of time, things have changed, and YouTube's suppressed stuff and doesn't share it the same way it used to done. And it kind of gets you down sometimes a little bit. So I just got into a bit of a rut. I'm out of that slump now. I'm fired up. I'm ready to just make some cool content, and it'll be about cool stuff. So if you want to see it, comment on the video tonight. So after this is finished, you'll be able to go in and comment in the comments. Get in there. Tell me the stuff you want to see. Tell me the games I don't know about, and who knows where we'll go. Nostock says, "What's on VJ's shirt?" This is the happy the Orc's Nest is a store, isn't it?
Yep.
Do you want to show the world? There you go, the Orc's Nest. No, it is not a picture of me before anybody says anything.
Oh, the similarity is startling.
Somebody's going to stop their photos.
Yeah, someone's definitely clipping that. It's going up somewhere.
Spylord says Kickstarter hurts loads of companies because they don't consider the logistics fully. Hawk or another company that fell foul of their own campaign. I think sometimes things just grow faster than companies can handle. Sometimes they're a victim of their own success. Sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Somebody's saying, is Wings of War the same as Wings of Glory? Kind of like X-Wing World of Tanks. I think it could be, mate. Wings of Glory was the original game, and then basically Fantasy Flight Games took the mechanism, the mechanics of the game, and created X-Wing out of it. And because it did well, they then created Star Trek Attack Wing, I think it was. Big Dave says, boom, kids fell asleep. I'm off the bed. See you next week. See you, Dave. John Joe McQuaid says, hook up with some of the communities that are keeping old editions alive, like Crown of Command. They've even published own magazine based on an old wild white dwarf. It's called Hero Hammer. I've heard of that, mate. I'm all up for kind of doing a bit of networking and getting in touch with like sort of communities that maybe don't always kind of, their games maybe don't get covered. I'm up for anything. Spiderlord saying the Orc's Nest is still there. It's a great store.
Very small, but very good.
Simon Davis says, remember Fantasy Flight Disc Wars? Not sure that weird thing would be classed as. Can you remember Disc Wars?
The name rings a bell.
I think, if I'm remembering this right, mate, it was a Warhammer game, like a Warhammer Fantasy, but your armies were all discs, cardboard discs, and you kind of like flicked them over to advance them up the board. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I know the name, have no idea what you're talking about.
Yellow Belly Tabletop saying there was a Dragon Attack Wing game as well. So they even made a D&D version of X-Wing as well.
Yeah, right.
And he says, Board Game Geeks says, Wings of Glory was the first, but I think it's been a while since I went down that rabbit hole. Yeah. Dev Slavin says, as someone who's wanting to start their own channel, how do you think they should approach it if they don't want to do GW games? There are so many better games out there and they deserve to be shown. What I will tell you is, first of all, do it because you love the stuff you want to talk about. Be passionate about it. Make videos that you want to see because you have to make stuff that you're happy with. Don't make stuff for other people that you won't enjoy making is the first point. The second point is don't spend a lot of money. Use your phone Camera phones now are more than good enough to do 90% of videos. Don't get caught up and see all these channels online who have like 5 cameramen and fancy angles and smoke coming across the tables and all this kind of stuff. You might get there one day, you might not, kind of thing. But do it because you love it, and do it as cheaply as possible, and find out if you enjoy doing it. But do it for you. Don't do it because you think you'll become popular, or because you think it could be the future kind of thing. I'm really fortunate that mine, over a period of time, kind of sort of rumbled along and kind of gained a few subscribers and supporters, and it allows me to do something that I'm mega passionate about. But you have to have the passion, otherwise it's just a job. You might as well kind of work in McDonald's, or you'll make more money, to be fair. So
there's easier ways to make more money.
Make it your hobby, and then see where it goes. Because if you don't enjoy your hobby, then you shouldn't be doing a hobby, basically. Yeah, Prawn Touch is saying he picked up a couple of sets of Disc Wars when FFG dumped it. It's pretty cool. Captain Castle says Oaks Nest own their property in London. I think I'd sell up and retire a multi-millionaire. Yeah, you're not wrong, Red.
But then London would be down one more game shop. That's not what they need.
Charlie Mouse says, tip for good production. Good sound is more important than good video. Yeah, save money on the camera if it means a better mic.
Agreed.
Yeah, these days, I mean, these little lapel mic things that I've got, they're plugged into a fancy wireless system, which you don't necessarily need. But these mics, I think, are like something 15 quid, something like that, £10, something like that. And you can plug them straight into your mobile phone. And that is more than good enough to do 90% of kind of hobby videos. Don't ever overspend on stuff or think that you need fancy cameras or fancy lenses or like all that kind of stuff. That can come down the line if it becomes like a real passion. But early days, do what you love and make it cheap. Colonel Failure says, if you don't enjoy making the video, even with nobody watching, you won't stick with it for long enough to pick up the skills in an audience. Yeah, here, definitely. Yellow Belly Tabletop says, fantastic advice, just started the journey myself. I'm pleasing myself at the moment and hoping my audience will grow. There's 2 things to kind of factor in. Is you have to focus on the things that you can control. You can't make people subscribe. You can't make people watch. You can't make people like your videos. You can't make people share your videos.
Can't make people like you.
You can't make people like you. And not everybody will like you, because guess what? You don't like everybody either. So don't try and take it too personally. So concentrate on the things you can control, because what you can control is how often you make videos. You can make them the best that you can make them. Make it something that you would be interested in watching. So concentrate on the content, and if it's good, everything else kind of comes along in the end. If you make a good video, people will watch it. If you make an interesting video, people will watch it. If you're teaching somebody how to do something, people will watch it. But don't worry about the views. Don't worry about all the other stuff. Just focus on enjoying yourself. I have just read that comment.
Yep, that's a great comment.
We'll get to that one. Scanner Bartley says, I have found hobby fan very forgiving of things like budget and production values. They really just want someone to echo their passion. Here.
Yeah.
And Rob says, have to go, take all care, great chat tonight. Thank you very much. The basis is starting, particularly with wanting to get less known games out there, is the focus, not the views and possible growth. It's dead easy to get sidetracked. Like I've been very open about it. Over time, you'll have a video that does really well. Like I made a video about the cheapest airbrush on Amazon, and it cost me 30 quid for the airbrush, and that video has now done almost 400,000 views. Yeah.
Whoa, really? That many?
It's done about 400,000 views now, that video. And off the back of that, I was like, well, what do I do now? Now I need to double down. I need to do something else. And I think I then did the battery operated one, and that one's done about 98, 100,000 views or something like that now. And I started to sort of doubt what I was doing and think, well, maybe I shouldn't make games videos. Maybe I shouldn't talk about war games. I should talk about cheap stuff from Amazon. And you start getting stars in your eyes, and you start seeing the views, and you start seeing maybe a little bit of money coming in, and you think, well, like that, this is what it's about. But I'm not passionate about picking up cheap stuff off Amazon. I picked them up because I wanted to see what the airbrushes were like. You have to go back to what the core be. What's the reason for being? What makes you passionate about it? Why do you want to do it? Simon Dave says, you're open to trying any miniature agnostic games. There's some really interesting ones out there. Turnip 28 and Sludge. It's more a case of getting my hands on stuff and being able to get into the table. Because what you have to remember is that I have to put a lot of time into reading the rules and learning the rules and building miniatures and painting miniatures to be on the channel. Like, you don't want to see anything on the channel that's just like sort of glued together plastic minis or something like that, or just metal minis on a base. You want to see a bit of production value. You want to see kind of painted, and that all takes time. So I have to be selective about which ones I go that far down the route with to start kind of painting and building and spending money sometimes. So if I can get demo games, if I can get more information, if companies want to send me rules that I can like kind of read or something like that, that all helps. But there are a lot of games out there, and I can't cover them all, obviously. But the more I know about them, the more I can decide whether it's something I think is my kind of wheelhouse, really. Discourse says, not everyone will like you. This has been my experience for sure. The one thing I have to keep telling myself is I don't like everybody, so therefore I don't expect everybody to like me. And I've definitely had a glimpse of that this weekend, that's for sure. Let me get into a secret, folks. Not everybody likes me. That's fine though. Samia says, don't have the time for YouTube channel, but I'm working on a simple hobby blog to keep what I enjoy. No pressure to post something every week, just a way to share. A lot of miniature wargaming YouTube stuff started up by people just like almost, this is what I painted this week, just like showing other people what they were doing. And some of them channels got a bit bigger and then went off and started doing like more sort of deep coverage of things and growing into like bat rep videos and things evolved. But when I first started, it was just a load of people just going, this is what I've painted this week, this is my new model I've got for my army, that kind of stuff. And it was much more hobby conversational stuff. And people would go, or just responding to so-and-so's video where he's been painting these. I've found if you do it this way and like showing each other how to do things, I just found it was quite an interesting community of people. Very different now to when I kind of was first dabbling in amongst that. Where are we up to here? Clavax says, every game's a miniature agnostic game. Don't get me started, mate. I've said this and been burned for that in the past. Blaise says, Ted says, dinner time across the pond. Great chat all. Thank you very much. Blaise saying, night all, early start tomorrow. Spiderlord saying, be yourself and authentic. Those that matter won't mind. Those that mind don't matter. Oh, I like that. Captain, everyone's having a little chat. Yeah, enjoyed your chat with Andy on Friday. Captain said, watched a couple of your vids over the weekend. Ian says, does that mean if we send you games, you look at them? I'm not kind of soliciting kind of just open calls for games and stuff like that. It's more about like I'd rather know if is it something I would gel with? Is it my kind of wheelhouse? And if it is, then maybe I'll take a look at it. But I'll be honest, like I there's not enough hours in the day because
look at everything.
If I spend every day looking at rule sets, learning rule sets, building minis, painting minis, I'm not making videos. And I have to balance that out. So I can't, that's why you can't cover everything. So I have to be quite selective about which bits I do. Ian says, someone local with armies and stuff giving you a demo will be good content, I think, like first impression sort of thing. Yeah, quite potentially, mate, yeah. Prawn Toucher says, the one game I keep recommending to people is Relic Blade. It's phenomenal, particularly as it's largely one guy's passion project. Yeah, Relic Blade, he's saying that Exit 23 Games are the UK supplier. It used to be really hard to get in the UK. I booked tickets to go to Adepticon over in the States in 2020. I don't know what happened there, how I never got to go. But actually, I'd contacted, it's Sutter, what's he called? Sean Sutter, who owns the game. And we were gonna meet up and have a coffee and have a chat about Relic Blade and stuff like that. So I had plans to meet him, and then obviously COVID had a hand in it, and it never happened. Explore Novik says, be you, don't be fake inside and out, don't be a shill. Enjoy what you're doing, it'll all encourage the like-minded individuals. Yeah. Andy saying, wait, doesn't everyone like discourse? Of course we all do, mate. Yellow Belly Tabletop says, I love the on-tabletop project system as an informal hobby blog. That works very well if you just want to have somewhere to record your hobby stuff. The on-tabletop stuff in the background actually is pretty good. Yellow Belly Tabletop says, you should be a superhuman like Ash. there is something not right with
We were discussing that earlier.
Yeah, the amount of stuff he puts out and gets through painting and kind of plays them games, I think he is on a different time zone.
That man is a machine.
Either there are 3 of them. Yeah, either Ash
They're triplets.
He's triplets. Yeah, either he's triplets, or there is something that he might have a time machine. Yeah, yeah, he can fit. Simon Davis, I can barely fit in a game a month. He plays everything. I think he can fit in a month a day. Never mind a game a month. He's definitely cloned. Yeah, there's. I don't know. I don't know how he manages to do it. We were literally saying before the streams talk. We were talking about it, and I said I would love to be a fly on the wall for a week to see how he manages to get through it all. Captain Castle saying Ash runs a sweatshop of Vietnamese orphans. Maybe that is exactly how he does it, mate. Maybe that is. And Matt says 10 out of 10 recommend the Osprey Wargames series. I'll have to check out some of them, mate. I'm not that familiar with those, to be honest. What I didn't mention, folks, was I also got a little gift. I got 2 little gifts actually. We've now got a little mascot for the backgrounds of our videos. So what we called him again?
So Blinky.
Blinky. So Blinky the koala. You'll see him in the background of live streams from now on. Blinky the koala's made an appearance.
Put him here.
And he also. Let me just. There was also this lovely stuff. Some crocodile jerky. I'm a little bit worried. I've never had jerky before, and definitely have never had crocodile before. I would have eaten it live on the stream, but I don't think you want to just hear me chewing away. Is it pretty chewy?
It's jerky.
I don't think it's the kind of thing you need me to be chewing down a microphone. That's probably not the best for everybody. So but I will. Maybe I'll do a review. Maybe I'll report back. Maybe I'll become the beef jerky.
The
channel.
jerky review channel.
Yeah, or the crocodile jerky channel. But yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap
the Black Jerky legacy.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up there. I think we've had some awesome numbers tonight. Thank you so much, folks. Every single one of you. Thank you to all of the new folks who've come along. Thank you to all of my continued supporters who come every week as well. Awesome to see you. Thank you to VJ coming all the way across the world.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
And for doing the stream tonight. It's been awesome, mate. You are welcome back anytime, mate. Yellow Belly saying he had crocodile tail once. It's okay. Weird dense texture, but overtones of fish. This is the conversation we had. What does it taste like? Matt Lumley says crocodile jerky review in ASMR channel. Pretty sure that's what people were tuning for. Me just going like some kind of grazing cow. That's what everybody wants to see, isn't it? Anyway, have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll be back later this week with another video. I'll be back next Monday with another Monday night live stream. And as ever, I have no idea what it's going to be about, but no doubt it'll be lively. So thank you very much, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you all next week.